the real problem.
This is an issue. If they actually both just fall here without finding anything, this is going to be really dire for Fate. Prison is going to get taken out. Blocker's going to take tons of damage in the meantime. Though an opportunity for them to get the bomb down on B here, but as Blocker wide swings, they wanted to try and thin out the numbers of their defenses before they go for that plant, and that's not going to work out for them at all. A nice headshot from Patrick and an attempt at the spray transfer, but he's not going to be able to convert it. WINSTRIKE put their 4th on the board. Of course, Fate back down to an eco, and they actually retrieved 3 AKs, so they're going to have the weapons of choice going into round number 6 and plenty of money behind them.
This is where things start to become touch and go. Fate with a fairly hefty investment. Of course, that loss bonus fully built up. And they send all 5 players trailing towards this B bomb site. No map control towards the pointy letter. The nades do come through, doing a little bit of preliminary damage onto Lackey, but it's not enough to turn the tide thus far. 90-second mark. Expect this push to come through sooner rather than later for Fate. And it finally does get initiated. Prison, he's stuck behind these barrels. The rifles not actually holding up. And there's another headshot from Blocker. Fully blind. Puts us in a 2 versus 4 here. And this is why Fate are so damaging, so deadly. The ability to pick up any single round. This B rush might have just done the trick. Nade over the top. Don't think it's going to connect. Lots of damage, no frag. That Molotov's going to be more influential, burning Mar alive. Now the double crossfire as they try and prise open this bomb site. The pistols, they're finally starting to fall. And Blocker's not got a lot of HP to get the job done. Throwing that one over to Han. And just playing this double set piece. Bondic needs to go for the swing. They're going to be lined up for it. There's a secondary shoulder swatted. He finds both of those pickups. And enough time for this defuse, I think. It's going to be very close. Just 1 second left. Does get it. Of course, 5-1. That was a 4 versus 2, Jay.
That was actually incredibly played from WINSTRIKE there. They had plenty of utility to work with, so it meant they could use it to flush out those angles. And Bondic just spots out the arm of Han there as he peeks the first time. Allows him to swing out and get that second. That is actually really fantastic. Fate, they did a lot of work there to find those initial 3 kills, get onto that bomb site and get the plant down. They just could not hold on to it. They were unable to retrieve many rifles off of it, and they just couldn't really do a whole lot. They took tons of damage as well, which made matters a whole lot worse. Some aggression kicking things off in this round from WINSTRIKE gives Bondic that man advantage. It is instantly traded by Han. This Dawn being blown off as well gives an opportunity for one back in the favor of WINSTRIKE, and they snatch it away. Lackey might be able to find one more. It's not going to happen, though. Nicky puts a bullet in his head. Levels this one back out into a 3-on-3. Minute 20 on the clock, and a whole lot of blood has already been shed.
That's a really interesting combination there for WINSTRIKE. You see Nickelback just trying to spray a couple of bullets through, actually being somewhat of a diversion. In fact, no, Lackey's a diversion in that stance. He's sat inside the connector, just fires a couple of bullets into the wall. At the same time, maybe a second or so after, Nickelback then goes for the swing. Ironically, does find the back of Blocker and levels up the numbers once again. That connector angle is usually kind of uncontested by a CT side on this particular map. It's really quite hard to hold. It's an easy opening for especially a team like Fate. We see their clamp set up where they actually send 2 players through the toilet side of connector. Another 1 or 2 through the T side of connector. Nickelback does get spotted. Very commonly flashed spots. There's no defense over here by the B bomb site. They're holding it from afar. There's Han for another.
8 again have run the clock down really low. I love that boost from Han, though. Gives him the advantage on that player in heaven. Prison, I don't know what he goes for here. I think he actually gets for the save, yeah. Yeah, I suppose. They've got plenty of money in the bank, but he's really the one man that can't afford to invest next round, and if he can keep his economy somewhat intact, that would definitely be worthwhile. You don't want to be asking Bondic for that drop if you don't need to. Will mean that Fate will be able to put their second round on the board. They'll keep a few weapons as well going into the next. That AWP on Han being the important one. That was nice stuff. We see Fate quite often run down that clock. Seen it fall apart for them so far this game, and oh my, Crizzen tried to pick up that AWP, but oh, Z-key broke or something.
It's a very inconsistent key in Counter-Strike. Often highlights on Reddit. I know that Valve have supposedly fixed that one, but sometimes it still feels like I get cucked out of a weapon. And right here, 5-2, maybe a way back in for Fate. I think they need a lot more than this to conclude their T side. Luckily, they've got plenty of rounds left in the half. Elliot right over that smoke. He's going to get finally spotted and traced through by Ma. Easy opening once again from Fate. And this time, they've got a diverting setup. It's the flash to come over the top. No repeat temporarily from Fate. So Lucky gets away with that little bit of aggression. See that absolutely nobody gets blinded up by that flashbang. And, well, there's the secondary pickup. WINSTRIKE seems to be doing a pretty good job at just trading this back. But up against Fate, you really don't want to get too aggressive. You see they've got T's spread all across this map, waiting for your contest and aggression. And finally does get punished once more. And two of the heavy hitters of this defense, Elian and Lackey, already taken away. Rised out of this server.
Quite dangerous from Lackey, going for that initial push towards B short. There were actually two T's there, but he just didn't spot out either of them. And look at this aggression again, it's Crizzen. He's able to find Blocker. He's that low HP player, but Hahn is very, very quick on the response. Maintains that man advantage for his side. 30 seconds on the clock now. They've thrown some utility over onto B. They're actually wrapping all the way round to this A site, and they're really cutting this fine. I think WINSTRIKE, they're certainly still expecting it to be a B push. With Bondic getting aggressive, he's going to realize that's not the case. Now the rotations will start to come through. But again, Fate getting the bomb down in the single-digit seconds of the round. Goes down nonetheless. WINSTRIKE, yeah, they are going to go for this. They're on a retake. They're swinging around from long. If they find this opener, I think they have a chance. If not, they might just fall back for this save.
Yeah, exactly. It all comes down to the first pickup there. If Bondic's able to do absolutely anything, maybe Nickelback was the first man in, perhaps. If you find that kill, you usually choose to engage. Instead, it's a case of just saving this AK-AWP combination. And I guess WINSTRIKE will go for a further buy. That's the difficulty for Fate here. You have to face 3 rifle rounds in a row. And I guess this one's not going to be wholesome and perfect. Bondic, the sugar daddy on this CT side, can obviously drop away another rifle. Maybe even a double AWP setup if they want it. I guess WINSTRIKE don't really go for the double snipers all of the time. A couple of confident rifles on this team means he really doesn't have to invest all too much. Instead, buys to the bottom of his bank. I think that was 2 M4s dropped over. So every single player with a rifle in hand here for WINSTRIKE. It's a fairly wholesome buy. Just deprived of a little bit of utility here.
Does mean their bank is now broken though. Bondic, of course, a couple of rounds back was sitting on 10k. All the drops coming through. No money left behind him. Of course, WINSTRIKE. It's sometimes nice to be able to pull out that double AWP setup, but it's certainly something you don't want to have to rely on. With Elian, very confident AWPer on this CT side. Not sure if he's any match for Hahn. We'll have to wait and see. The AWPs might just happen a little bit later in the round. For now, Fate just playing this slow default. Trying to poke some holes in the defenses, wait for any kind of aggression. We're seeing Lackey play this same setup. I'm not quite sure who throws the grenade to blow the door up to kick things off, but it certainly gives a nice sight line between connector player to support their teammate on short if that T-push does come through. For now, though, the clock just running down again. 50 seconds here. No real commitment made from Fate. They start to regroup and head over towards B. The execute's yet to come through.
Feels like WINSTRIKE are making a lot of early mistakes here. Fate seldom don't pick up that opening kill. And once again, it's Lackey to fall firstly and foremostly. all of 25 seconds. Fate are really running down this clock once again, and Bondik's going to get some key information that they are heading towards the pointy letter. The rotate is a little too late. With Bondik gone, that C4 can go down on the safety of this A bomb site. Should be round over here, especially with the insurance policy of Han from behind. One, and maybe he's not done. WINSTRIKE, they certainly are. They're going to bail away from this A side of things. Just try and save this AWP. M4 combination once again. Seen a lot of saving from the CTs as of the last couple of rounds. And I guess Fate can finally go for this hunt. Going to be the aggressive nature of Han. To just watch this connector angle. A lot of the time, a CT side will actually just climb up that ladder, try and hunt for a couple of exits. Instead, they are sat down here, just on the T side of Monster. And there's going to be no action to conclude round number 10. Round number 9, I should say. Should I get it right?
You know what I'd quite like to see from WINSTRIKE here to counter what Fate are doing, which is actually spread around the map, run down that clock really low, and then sometimes they aggress onto a site, sometimes they'll find an opening, pick onto a site, and then actually fall all the way back and go to the other. And I think if WINSTRIKE play a hard anchor on both of these bomb sites, that could certainly counter that. If you have a player that's sitting behind truck, you have maybe one on B just sitting behind the barrels, then even if Fate do rotate round in the dying seconds, even if he can't find himself 3-4 kills, if he can deny that plant, that could single-handedly convert it.
And more importantly,
you've
got to keep alive all of this utility on the CT side. Like, I mean, they don't have it here in round number 10, but realistically, next round's going to be a full buy. And knowing that Fate are whittling down this clock every single time you keep a smoke, a Molotov in hand, that can be the difference between a round win and a round loss. And WINSTRIKE, it looks like this is going to be, what, a 5-round loss streak here? Or maybe 4, with Fate taking the pistol initially. But up against all buy rounds, this is a great little climb back from Fate.
Breaks that bank of their opponents. However, it does allow them a loss bonus to start racking up. Bondik is able to level out the numbers here, bringing things back into a 4-on-4. Going for this peak hard. Even after he comes off the angle, he snaps right back to it, connects the shot. Nicky's able to find himself another. It brings things into a 4-on-2 and leaves just these pistols alive. There's certainly nothing for them to save. They might as well go for it. But a fantastic shot from Blocker. Gonna find another kill, whittle down these numbers of WINSTRIKE, and Lackey, yep, he's gonna fall in due time as well. Fate put their 5th on the board. They finally tie things up after a nice initial lead from WINSTRIKE. And now they're in a position where they can continue to put these rounds together and have a good half here.
Fate are starting to assert some control on this T side of Overpass. They look incredibly cozy. I think WINSTRIKE are certainly on the back foot. Yes, they've got another buy here on round number 11, but I don't want to see any of this disjointed aggression. And if they do, it needs to be a 2 or 3-man prong. Nicky, once again, well, he's headed towards Connector to meet this aggression from the double stack of Lackey and Bondik. Actually quite like this, putting 2 for the price of 1 into the middle of the map to control these anchors, but it's once again Fate to find this opening shot. Seems like consistently somebody's being taken down in the opening seconds of these rounds for WINSTRIKE, and really, it's been Lackey. I think 4 out of 5 of these opportunities for Fate, he's handing them all of these openings just on a silver platter. He's the maitre d' of this CT side.
Bondik finding that initial pick brings things back into a 4 versus 4, and Fate are starting to group up back over towards B. This time it's looking like they might actually go for a side take before the final 10 seconds of the round. That's going to be the case. Blocker charges right in, finds that opening headshot. Refrag does come in from Bondik, but that grenade's going to get him right down to 3 HP, and a follow-up's going to finish him off. Kills coming back through, however, for WINSTRIKE. Leaves Han in a difficult situation, and as soon as he peeks out, Alien's going to rip his head clean off. WINSTRIKE finally respond. It's a little bit late, but nonetheless, they make sure that Fate can't take the lead. They stay in the driving seat for now, and put their bank back in a position where they can invest once again. The issue is that Fate have got money behind them too, so they'll have to face up against another full buy here just to try and whittle down that cash from the Fate's bank account.
This is the question mark. Fate could achieve a full reset, and with their money fully built up, they've got enough buys into round number 12 and 13. This is a change of pace from Han. Gunning for that opening frag once again. This time doesn't get away with it. WINSTRIKE, I want to see them turtle down into this setup, play a much more passive defense. And of course, with the issue being an MP9 here and a lack of utility, they're on the B bomb site. This is one that Fate could probably take over the top. And with nobody sat on the A bomb site for WINSTRIKE, this is a free open path onto the pointy letter for Team Fate. I don't know if they're going to spot out Elian here, but there's the opening once again. I think that's 6 in a row here for Fate. Just consistently finding that first man. And even when they don't find the round, obviously picking up that opening kill is worth its weight in gold. And there's a second.
Keeps them ahead in this round, and Krisen spamming away, getting eerily close, but not able to convert anything as of yet. Nickelback finds one. He's instantly traded by Patrick as he doesn't expect him to be close right. Krisen left in an impossible situation, and Mar is going to seal his fate. Fate, they bounce right back, put themselves onto 6. And WINSTRIKE aren't going to be able to invest fully into this round. This is actually finally an opportunity for Fate to take the lead here. And I think they might just be able to do so. WINSTRIKE are going to go for this eco by the looks of things. Maybe pull out a couple of pistols. Certainly no Kevlar on a lot of these players. An opportunity to talk about our partners over at Hellcase. Make sure you use code MALTAV15 for a 50% refill bonus when you top up.
So another stalemate before we get into the final trio of rounds. Should be an easy one to take for Team Fate. Of course, they've got a massive firepower advantage in this one, and that's now 7 in a row. I'm going to keep it counting that they find that opening pickup, and obviously just converts onto all of these pistols. When you're just... the percentages are that high for finding your opening kill on your T side of a map like Overpass, it's almost impossible to win rounds for WINSTRIKE. They are consistently losing this opening man. I talked about it being lackey in either 4 or 5 of these situations. This time he gets cut apart last, but with the pistols, shouldn't really matter too much. I've been wanting to see a more passive setup for WINSTRIKE for about 10 minutes now. But it's given Fate a road back into this first half. They now take the lead. I think even if they stop at 7, that's definitely enough on your T side. And considering they've got buys into the next 2, this is looking almost flawless. Yes, with the AWP, everybody else AKs. And this is the change of pace, Jay. A double AWP setup for WINSTRIKE. Let's see what they can do with it.
Don't see Nickelback on this AWP all too often, but when we do, sometimes he pulls off some incredible shots. Elian missing a fairly routine one to kick things off. That rock just causing him some issues, as obviously you can't see the T crossover. He has to go for that hard right flick, and he just can't connect it. Takes some damage early on. He falls right back to this A site. And it gives Fate quite a lot of control. They can actually push right up here, especially with Harm finding one more as well.
That's 8 in a row, boys and girls.
Yeah.
8 in a row.
8 in a row. So consistent with these openers.
I was a little late on counting it early in the map. I think, let's call it 9 in a row.
Wow. So consistent with these opening picks then. Let's see if they can convert the round off of it, because they seem to, well, at least in this map, have a sort of 50% win rate after finding that opening pick, which is a little bit less than you normally see. WINSTRIKE seem to be quite good at responding. Just been unable to get that initial trade in. As soon as the pick goes in the favor of Fate, WINSTRIKE don't trade it instantly, and then they're instantly on the back foot. Krisen, though, picking up the pieces here perfectly, finds himself 2. Blocker somehow trades it while flashed, but the man advantage still being retained for the WINSTRIKE side. And Han now left in a very difficult clutch, especially after not connecting that shot, but he does find it on the second try.
1 HP in a dream. Lackey pretty much has a picture-perfect angle here. Only has to connect 1 bullet. And Han almost had the angle. That looked a little bit slow with the observer switch. 7-7 nonetheless. I'm sure that we'll see that combination come through from Han again. Good little combination again from WINSTRIKE finally. Seems to be Crizzen bailing them out of trouble the majority of the time here. But almost another 1v3 opportunity for Han. How many times have we seen this man pull together the clutches? But yeah, 9 opening frags for Fate in a row in consecutive rounds. And definitely being a problem maker and a question mark for the WINSTRIKE CT side. And did you say that WINSTRIKE only convert 50% of their rounds when they find the opening pick?
No, that's not a statistic. It's just the fact that Fate have found this opening pick in the last sort of 9-10 rounds in a row, and they've only really been converting half of them. A lot of the time they find that opening pick and they still don't find the round. WINSTRIKE somehow managed to come out on top. I'm not actually sure what their round conversion statistic is after finding that opening pick. It is... Oh, I've got it open right here. It's 65.9% after finding that opening pick, so not too bad at all.
Yeah, when you're working into the 70% marker, that's kind of what you're expecting to see at that point. I guess this for Fate is a little bit of a target pick against WINSTRIKE. This CT side has not been rigid, it's not been strong whatsoever, and that's considering that they were able to take 4 of the first 5 rounds and relatively little success as of that point. I guess I disagree with the 50% stat line for Fate. I feel like they've been converting many more of these rifle rounds, just considering this was a really strong start for WINSTRIKE. Then the opening kills came through. This might be an opportunity back in, but, well, I guess it's 10 in a row. Fate have already found the 2 opening picks. So we'll keep that counter going. And, well, for the majority of their T side, they've been finding all of those openings. They've been converting very nicely. When you look at it, it's 7 out of 9 and might even be 8 out of 10 here, which would be 80%. It looks to be a pretty foregone conclusion at this point. 30 seconds left. Just Alien versus the world. And considering this is round number 15, there is no saving. Imagine if you could carry that AWP into the pistol round. Be different.
I don't even know if I'd want. I suppose you would want it, obviously. But
I guess on overpass you would. Maybe on short to dust, you maybe wouldn't.
A dangerous game. Fate, though, they've done very, very well to recover this one. They were quite substantially down early on in this first half, and they've come right back. They've managed to string together, what is 7 in a row with a couple of hiccups here and there in the middle. It's one back in contention, and they can take this pistol round on the second half as well. I think they have a fantastic chance of closing this one out. WINSTRIKE so far today have actually surprised me quite a lot. They very much surprised me over on Vertigo. Now here coming on to a map like Overpass as the underdogs in this series anyway. It's their opponent's map pick. It's a map that they historically really do not like. And they're actually putting up the numbers. They're having some pretty solid rounds, and we kick things off with an 8-7 half. They're not doing too bad at all. Certainly living expectations for me so far.
Yeah, this is certainly expectation time when you really want to push it over the line, but for WINSTRIKE, significantly behind. You could definitely see why Fate have lurked and lingered into this territory as well. I know that they've got that manager and coach behind them giving a lot of the breakdown of these particular maps, actually taking me through some of the Fate stats on particular turf, and clearly this is a bit of a target pick for them. WINSTRIKE straight to the B bomb site, quick reload as Han is going to be the second prod. Nobody disconnected with anything other than a tickle of damage. There's another headshot, but WINSTRIKE have made no ground onto this B bomb site. They're being stuck in Monster and clawed apart by these USPSs. Alien's the only player remaining with any significant HP, considering Lackey has just 5. This pistol round should be very over right now. I'd love to see that P250 just thrown over to Alien to give them just a hint of a chance, but he's going to need to do something very, very special. I just cannot see it happening, considering all 4 players for Fate towards this side of the map. The full rotating wrap going through. The bomb dropped out in the open as well. This is what you wake up in hot sweats over 2 o'clock in the morning. This is a nightmare. 9-7.
You actually find him both there to finish things off. A fantastic pistol round from Fate. They take tons of damage, but they maintain the men, and that's what is important in that scenario. They have the bomb down, and they just swarm around it and make sure there's no chance for WINSTRIKE to get back in and snatch it away. Looking at the odds going into this second half then, and wow, Fate heavily, heavily favoured here. They're only 2 rounds ahead, of course, but kicking things off now on this CT side in the second half. Clearly the betters massively favouring this Bulgarian side. On with this scout, trying to open things up early. And actually masses of aggression here from Fate as they push right up long. They find that opening pick once again. That grenade as well, not actually going to do the work as Nicky finds the kill before it. And that's going to force WINSTRIKE right back. They want to try their luck on B instead.
Luck being the key word, considering this is just a couple of pistols. And there's the SMG to just chomp them away. Not the kills, but the damage certainly comes through. And there's Blocker just to finish them off. 10-7. He actually prioritizes the MP9. That's a funky one. Dropping that hideous FAMAS. One of my least favorite rifles in the whole of this video game. I think that the FAMAS is pretty bad.
Yeah, I don't like the FAMAS either. I don't know if you'd favour an MP9 over it, but fair enough.
Yeah, that's a bit of a stretch. The MP9 does seem to be like the go-to SMG nowadays, to be perfectly honest. It's just got that really high fire rate that tears through Ts. We saw Blackie actually rack up 2 quick kills, quite long range as well with the MP9 against a full buy of Fate. So maybe Blocker wanting to repay the favor.
Really is, especially considering it's the cheapest. You almost never ever see a PP Bison or an MP7 or an MP5 come out in these competitive games ever, but very, very often see the MP9. Let's see if it can get any work done. Oh, with this aforementioned FAMAS sitting in the toilets, he's got players either side of him, and timing will be the limiting factor. He actually fires Nickelback. He's now super aware of Lackey coming in from long as well. Swaps out to the AK just into the nick of time. Turns around. The flash is perfect from Han. And there we go. Able to convert both those kills. He can fall right back off of it. And he will be very, very happy. He's done his job there on toilets. And he lives to tell the story.
This time is monstrously low for WINSTRIKE. And they're no look closer to this A-bomb site, where 3 players have stacked over towards this side of the map. We've even got a corner to check before they make the magic happen. Well, funnily enough, it does swing in early. There's the nade combination, not going to do too much. And with Han, oh, that one does. Prison gets blasted away. There's Han for another one. Round over. And they can't get close to either of these bomb sites. There's the aforementioned MP9. To just finish off the job and trade up to the AK. He'll definitely be preferring that rifle. 4-round lead here for Fate. And this is starting to look quite a convincing map right here. WINSTRIKE, I think they took a 5-2 lead, or a 5-1 lead, actually, fairly early in this map. And they've had pretty much dead zero success as of that point. You just look at the... Well, I'm looking at the scoreboard over on HLTV. It was that 5-1 start, and only able to find 2 as of that point. As soon as Fate got that economy stabilized, they were certainly able to just take control of this map, and they're not slowing down here on the CT side.
We do sometimes see this from Fate, actually. They have a little bit of a slow start, and then they find their rhythm, and they just pull right back into it. That's exactly what we're seeing here on Overpass. It pokes up, Krisen unable to connect to it. Still this 2-man advantage nonetheless, and yeah, they're just looking super, super comfortable. Should be able to convert this one as well to put themselves onto 12. A 5-round lead before WINSTRIKE can buy once again, and well, Harney's not even going to get caught off guard. He's right out in the open. Nickelback could see the entirety of his body, and he just couldn't connect a shot. Means that all 5 players still alive here for Fate. They should just be able to close this one out. If they can do so without any casualties as well, that's going to work wonders for their economy. But Crizzen, well, takes the words right out of my mouth and denies them of it.
Wouldn't be too much of a problem maker here. Money seems pretty robust nonetheless. That's considering Nicky should survive here. And you see him just hiding away to allow the AK-47 to find the firefight, just baiting out the shots as well. This shouldn't be all too much more damage. Plucker just swings this a one tap to finish. 12-7. Fate, they just expand a snowball with this lead from 4 to 5. And now WINSTRIKE definitely under pressure as Overpass might be coming to a close. I think Vertigo is going to be more touch and go territory for them. We actually saw a really good defensive half from them on that particular map against Ago just an hour or so ago on that particular turf. And I just think that their Vertigo looked way stronger. Ago didn't look like a massively weak team whatsoever. Let's see how Fate handle this B aggression. Quite the swing.
Patrick for blind. That is not fun at all. WINSTRIKE actually managed to completely steamroll this B site. Not taking any casualties. That grenade's going to do a little bit of damage, but at this point, that just doesn't matter. Nicky and Mar, there's really no way back into this site. For now, they're actually trying to poke some holes into it. They want to try and take away some weapons here from WINSTRIKE. They know that their opponent's economy is quite weak, and if they can get a couple of exit frags, then it's going to be a reinvestment that WINSTRIKE aren't going to be happy about. Nicky, he gets quite close to it. I don't think he's going to be able to find anything. WINSTRIKE will be able to convert this one, put their 8th on the board, and keep this game within 4. And keeping all those rifles as well is quite an important one for them.
Terrorists win.
Just wanting to keep this money built up to a maximum, allowing back-to-back buys for that counter-terrorist half. And of course, the AWP back in hand for Han gives them a fairly robust defense here. He'll have full utility as well. So an absolute complete set for Fate going into round number 21. Whereas WINSTRIKE, this is, I guess, an opportunity for a little bit of a reset. That being quite a clean round right there allows an open door for a back-to-back investment. Of course, that loss bonus isn't going to be an issue. Pretty much losing absolutely everything in this first half. But as of that initial 5 that we saw them take at the start of their CT side, they've only taken 3 as of then. So this has to be a big swing backwards in the WINSTRIKE favor. Otherwise, Fate are going to assert that control, get to 16 sooner rather than later, and you'll be seeing Vertigo on your screen perhaps a lot quicker than expected. Down to the 75-second mark here. WINSTRIKE just playing a very slow approach. I guess you can't go for a B rush in every single opportunity. And they did get fortunate. You saw the flash come through actually at the perfect time. They seem to be back-to-back. Same strat once again. Ooh.
So consistent with these shots all of a sudden. Where has this been from WINSTRIKE? 2 rounds in a row, they just walk straight out onto that B bomb site and connect 3 headshots. Absolutely incredible stuff. I wonder if they can just keep doing this, Squid. They just keep charging into the B site, and they just bang, bang. 2 free headshots, bang, find a third as well. Just do it every single time. Just pull it all the way back.
Bang, bang into the room, Nicki Minaj style.
Yeah, exactly that. On the B site. Got Nicki Minaj on the server. Going crazy.
Too many things to say, and don't want to lose my job, so I think I'll reserve my opinion from now. 9 to 12. Guess this will be another buy for Fate.
Should be. This time WINSTRIKE are actually hunting. They've got the money behind them to justify it. On repeaks long. It could cost him, but he's not going to. He actually wants to save this AWP, and holding on to it is an important one. They wouldn't be able to reinvest and buy. They call a timeout to discuss what they're going to do here. There's an opportunity for Han to drop a rifle, Mar could drop a rifle, and they could actually pull out a full buy here with just 1 player on a FAMAS, maybe an MP9. Issue is, would be Quite limited utility. I think they go for this, though. I actually don't think they allow just these 2 rifles to have nothing to back them up. This is an opportunity where they can just buy into this one and try and put it back in their favor. They've got a few rounds to play with to do so. Either option is viable, though.
And that's exactly why they take the tactical timeout as well. Gives you a little bit of time to discuss, relieves that headspace for you to make the better decision. And well, Fate, it is the full force into round number 22. Couple of MP9s, of course, that double automatic rifle setup along with Hans saved AWP. He doesn't even drop an M4 here. So trying to keep a little bit of money in his back pocket to maybe go for that AWP in the follow-up, wanting to keep that money sturdy on the CT half. And for this, it's actually a bit of a different setup from WINSTRIKE. Nevertheless, the opening kill found. bondik a little bit paranoid for the second man, but nonetheless, Han, he's out in the open. If they actually go for this collapse via connector, maybe gets caught all the way out with his pants down. This is the shot. They've actually got a nice trio of players to hold bondik at bay and keep these AKs in play. Find a position from Mark. I think this is going to be the crucial gunfight to actually succeed. And they're watching for it. Double spray down. Leaves the AWP on his lonesome. Here come all of the frags. A whiffed shot. And this should be WINSTRIKE in the dumpster once again.
Wow. Fate, they've started to find their footing once again. They had a couple of rounds that didn't go their favor after WINSTRIKE just stormed into that B site. Had a lot of success over there. Instead, they try and change things up, and they get punished for it. I didn't even see it on the minimap. Blocker had managed to creep up from behind and gets himself a knife kill. Pure BM and an extra bit of cash as well in his bank account. WINSTRIKE, nonetheless, will be able to buy straight back into this one. They've actually got plenty of cash. Even to put Alien on that AWP, they'll have money behind it to go into the next as well if they can't convert this. But what they really need to do is start putting rounds on the board. Fate are 3 away from that magic number 16. And WINSTRIKE have got a hell of a task on their hands to try and pull this one back. Especially considering Fate have now got the momentum going for them. I'm actually going to call another timeout here as well. This is interesting.
Yeah, they've actually got quite a robust lead. Obviously, the rifle advantage as well on this counter-terrorist half. I don't know if this is just a technical that they've called in a tactical for. Seems like a little bit of a weird time to use one, but maybe just wanting to guarantee that 16th, cool the temperatures after that knife round comes through, or that knife kill comes through, I should say. But Blocker, once again, leading the charge. He is often a cool, calm, and collected customer in this Counter-Strike server, and once again puts his team 3 away from the finish line here on Overpass. Should be one that Fate are able to take as of this point, all things considered. I'd be expecting a bit of a B-execute from WINSTRIKE, that just being the common tactic that have pushed them from 7 to 9. They haven't had any success elsewhere on this T side, and with Han back towards this side of the map and 4 players, this is a set just exploit for Fate. They put everybody towards this side of things. There goes the nade stack to eliminate Crizzen. This is a beautiful start. This is abusive.
On has taken tons of damage, but as you say, once again, they find this opening pick. WINSTRIKE right back. If you actually look at what they're doing here, the bomb's creeping right up towards Fountain. They're trying to take some control over towards the toilets. Rotation coming through connector. So all 4 players now grouped up. Looking like they're going to head towards this A site. 55 seconds on the clock. That flash going to slow things down a little further. The real issue is Mars' position, because Han can fire off a shot. I'm pretty confident in his ability to find himself that first and drop off. And then that means that Mar can actually creep around from long and deal even more damage on the cross. Lackey really needs to take care of him here. And this close right corner is one that often goes overlooked. Mar's going to convert it. Han should be able to connect the first here. Drops off. Flash goes over. And here we go. Mar's going to swing around from long to support. A 2-man advantage. And he is going to shut it down. bondik's head ripped clean off. And Elian with 20 seconds on the clock. The bomb in no man's land. He's going to fall right back and save. A fantastic round from Fate. And it plays out near flawlessly for them, especially towards the end there.
Absolutely, pretty much nullified by the Han and Ma combo on the A bomb site. Looked a little bit touch and go considering Fate had that stack. Didn't look like they were actually heading towards that side of the map. And well, the going gets even tougher as the AWP drops without any loss bonus there. Elian stuck on 200 bucks. I guess he could buy dinner, but not his trusted AWP. Certainly not. He doesn't even have enough for Kevlar, Jay. This is really, really bad. He has enough for one flashbang. That is the investment here from him.
Oh, that's really sad. That's really sad. If he had like enough for Kevlar, you could even drop him a weapon. There was enough money there to maybe give him a Galil. But with no money for Kevlar, there's actually no point in giving him anything. Best he can be dropped is a Deagle here. Try and get some work done with it. But yeah, that is really, really unfortunate. Fate have done fantastically to not only convert that round, but actually strip him of that AWP right at the end there.
Jay, it's like, you know when you give like a child like 10 2Ps, like your parents might have given you like a couple of 2Ps and said, yeah, no, you can spend this. That's basically what Elian was left with at the start of this round. It's cute more than anything to buy one flashbang.
You get all sad when you realise that 10 2Ps isn't going to stretch too far in any shop.
Can't even buy a Freddo.
Oh my God. Yeah, you can't.
Was a nice shot.
That's a really nice escape.
Wow. Fate are fired up onto 15. They've got 6 chances to close, and considering the momentum swing after literally the first 5 rounds, I would be expecting them to take it, maybe even right here and right now. This was that key second shot. Nighty-night, Elian.
You don't even see him. You literally don't even see him. He just swings and goes for that no scope. He knows that there's 2 players there. He's obviously heard the sound cues. Just see a slither of a leg there. Really, really crazy stuff. WINSTRIKE will have enough money to buy into this one. They've got a fair loss bonus built up. On just not there quick enough to find that opening shot, of course. They've got 6 rounds to play with here. 6 chances to close this one out. This is what I said before. It's close in the first half. It was looking like WINSTRIKE might be able to pull this one off, and then it gets into the second, and Fate are just able to completely roll over this WINSTRIKE side, and even Blocker add an insult to injury, find himself a freebie through that smoke over a monster, just thinning out these numbers further and chipping away at the damage.
Well, considering WINSTRIKE were 5-1 ahead at the start of their CT side, this has fallen apart incredibly quickly. I won't imagine that they are even going to take 10 here, with Nikki just rampaging away. Another on this A-bomb site. The AK-47 is again at the ready. The flashbangs to support over the top. And this map is over. 16-9 here. Very convincing stuff from Fate. I think what we were kind of expecting here on Overpass, realistically, just didn't look like WINSTRIKE's map, to say the least. They looked a little out of their depth when it came to the rifle rounds on their counter-terrorist half, and then they just didn't have a depth of strategy to bring to the table on their T side either. Pretty weak performance, all things considered, but that was Fate's map pick. I guess they go to more sturdy ground in the form of Vertigo next, which they were very convincing against Aegon just a couple of hours ago. So if they can put together a repeat performance, I'd be expecting them to actually pull together a good result.
Absolutely, yeah. WINSTRIKE showing us why they really don't like Overpass. They really, really struggled on that T side to find any control whatsoever. It was a scoreline that we were certainly expecting in the pre-game, but not one that I was expecting after WINSTRIKE went 5-1 up, ended up taking an 8-7 half. You think, do you know what? This one could be quite close. I actually expect this to go the full distance, and instead it just doesn't. Fate show up to the second half, completely overwhelm WINSTRIKE. And yeah, there was just nothing more they could bring to it. 16-9, a very, very dominant scoreline. And they did look, you mentioned it a couple of times, they look fired up going into those later rounds. And I'm excited for them to bring that confidence into Vertigo as well. There's definitely potential for this to be a 2-0 if they can do so.
Yeah, realistically, I think that's where I'd be putting my money right now. I don't think there's a lot to talk about. So we'll throw to a quick break, but we're getting into Vertigo in just a few moments.
Nice shot. Lock and load.
Wow, very good. Let me show you how it is done. Yeah, no. Woo, damn! That was one of the best tickle fights I've been to.
Welcome back, everybody. You're watching the Eden Arena Malta Vibes Week 9 here today. As we dive into the action on Group B, we've got this interesting matchup between Fate and WINSTRIKE taking center stage. One map down, one to go for Fate as they convincingly take their pick of Overpass. We go on to Vertigo, which I guess is more of a handshake in the middle map between these two teams. We just saw, Jay, a very convincing performance from WINSTRIKE actually on this particular turf. So I'm excited about this one. 16-9 behind us. What are you expecting for this second map?
I'm not really sure what to expect. I think Overpass, we absolutely expected Fate to just take it rather convincingly. It was looking quite competitive, but they did in the second half just manage to completely overwhelm their opponents. Going into this second map of Vertigo, it's a pretty 50-50 turf. We did just see, as you say, WINSTRIKE take down Ego on it pretty convincingly. I think it was 16-11, so very, very nice stuff from them, and I think that they'll be quite confident going on to it now, just off of the back of that. Of course, they were the underdogs going into that matchup as well, but they face up against Fate, who are also relatively comfortable on Vertigo. They're never going to ban it. They've got a 50% win rate on it. They've won it 3 of the last 4 times they've played it, and those were against some pretty decent teams as well. SJ, Izako, Boars. They've taken it against Hellraisers and Illuminar fairly recently as well. They took a 16-14 win there against Pact a few weeks back. So Fate are pretty confident on Vertigo, and they won't be too phased by the fact that it's WINSTRIKE's map pick and by the fact that WINSTRIKE had a good performance on it earlier on. Obviously, they wouldn't have had the opportunity to watch it as they were playing a best-of-1 map at exactly the same time. But yeah, this is really even Stevens. There's definitely potential for a 2-0 here from Fate, but I wouldn't be surprised if WINSTRIKE pulled this one off and we go to a third.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think what we're learning here as we get further into the weeks, into the Malta Vibes, obviously we've seen just hundreds and hundreds of maps of Counter-Strike, and I guess hundreds of series played as well. I'd love to tally it up and see how much CS has actually been played. I bet it would be a frightfully large amount. I bet a couple of our producers could definitely tell us how much CS it really is. But here in this particular series and in this double elimination, like best of 1/best of 3 group stage, this GSL format, as we brand it, those best of 1s at the start are really quite important. If you win them, it means that you have to win 1 out of the next 2 best of 3s. If you lose that initial best of 1, you have to take 2 best of 3s on the trot. And realistically, that's the issue that Fate have been having over the last couple of weeks, especially last week, unable to get into the playoffs. Nevertheless, it's time to watch some Counter-Strike once again. We're back to Vertigo for the 9th round for this second map of this series, and an opportunity for Fate to take this one 2-0. I'm not sure what to expect. I guess we've got to say that they're favored to take this one 2 maps to naught, but I guess this Counter-Strike, anything can happen, and now we've got to decide both sides.
Yeah, there's certainly a few factors that come into play here for both sides that really are the fact that Fate are the favourites coming into this series. They have a similar win rate, in fact, almost exactly the same win rate on this map. But WINSTRIKE, they've just had a good performance on it against Ego. So there's kind of a few things that are like, okay, WINSTRIKE to take it. We just didn't really see a whole lot from them on their T side on Overpass. And Overpass and Vertigo play out in very different ways. They're a very, very different map that have a completely different dynamic to it. But if we see a WINSTRIKE that we saw over on Overpass really, really struggling to take any control, then, well, that might just be their detriment. Look, we're seeing that smoke again, Squid. It's just gone out the map. I think they tried to practice it again, and that's where it's gone. Right here on the warm-up.
Well, I guess they haven't had much time to actually practice it once again. That's really just weird. I wonder if that's been happening over the course of the last 6 weeks, and or 9 weeks, I guess, and we haven't even noticed it. I'm going to point it out every single time I see it, this map, and we'll start to tally up how many times WINSTRIKE maybe missed that smoke. They seem to be the shallow favorites here at map number 2. I'm really not sure. I think this one's very up in the air. You see those loot.bet odds a little bit closer than they were in the previous territory of Overpass, but definitely all to play for here. And Fate on that CT side, they've actually selected it to start. Let's see what WINSTRIKE have in the tank. Patrick getting nice and aggressive. They're not waiting for him over by the scaffolding. Able to steal away 2 frags, and there's the head glitch angle to do even further damage.
Fortunate they can't convert that 3rd kill there. Nonetheless, Lackey's got super aggressive. If he falls there, that's the round over for WINSTRIKE. But him finding that frag gives them a lifeline to work with. Still the man advantage firmly in the favor of Fate. And as Lackey's tapping away and can't convert himself another, he is forced to fall right back. The retake coming through. The man advantage still for Fate. Levels out into a 3-on-3, but tons of damage taken. They need to win these gunfights. The Glock's still prevailing, and it's looking like they might be able to tip this one over the edge. Patrick in the backlines is able to find himself 1 and a 2nd as well. A 1 versus 1 onto Lackey now. Time is of the essence, and he somehow converts it. Picks up the kit too, and he'll be able to get this defuse in. Patrick with the ace on the pistol round to put Fate 1-0 up on their opponent's map pick.
That is so important. Scrappy stuff from the pistols. But somehow, Fate prevail. That's 1-0. Big advantage on a map like Vertigo. You never want to allow that T side to actually get off to that good start, to build that money up initially. This was the initial, just almost trio of frags that he found. Lots and lots of damage pumped in. And I guess that headshot onto Elian was the key crucial kill, as he only had to find 1 bullet into the chest, into the toe, into a Lackey to finish him off. 1-0, and now it's time for WINSTRIKE to potentially respond. The rifles come through, of course, that's standard after getting the bomb down in the pistol. And a couple of deagles as well. This is not a perfect buy, of course. And for Fate, likewise, a bunch of SMGs. You've got the triple MP9 in the middle of this setup. Patrick, the only premium rifle, the M4A4, taking a lot of early damage. Means, how are they going to respond here? I guess WINSTRIKE can play and favor a slower stance, whereas Fate, I don't think they can take the aggression towards ramp, especially with these MP9s. You need a smoke to get up close and personal. And over towards the B bomb site, it's utility that they don't really have. It's already been thrown. Instead, aggression towards mid, and WINSTRIKE are not expecting this. Sometimes behind that generator position, you've got a T watching and waiting with an AK, but look at all this map control from Fate. Right behind the enemy line, and surprise, surprise, there's the first.
So much aggression here, as you say, from Fate. Look at their positioning. Nicky's going to be able to hear these players as well. Rips apart Bondic with that MP9. 3 versus 3 now. WINSTRIKE have certainly got the weaponry advantage, but Nicky swinging round deals tons more damage. The man advantage firmly in the favor of WINSTRIKE, but these MP9s still potential for them to do more. As look at this. Elian's going to be taken out. 15 seconds left on the clock. They have to cross and get this bomb down. What on earth was that from Crizzen? An incredible headshot on the cross. And that's going to secure the round for WINSTRIKE. Off the back of that bomb plant in the first, they bounce right back with the rifles, and they manage to convert it.
Exactly what you need to happen on this terrorist half. Get off to that good start. Start building this up, and that's exactly what happened for WINSTRIKE actually on their T side of Vertigo against Ago a little earlier today, and that was really why they were able to rack up an acceptable number of T-sided rounds. Fate, they bounce right back with another force buy of their own. This isn't going to look nearly as good here, Jay. Mostly pistols, only blocker with that MP9, which he seems to just favor over almost any weapon. I guess he would prefer the MP9 to the FAMAS. We saw that earlier on Overpass. But yeah, picking it up at every single opportunity, getting nice and aggressive in the back lines once again. But is this realistically going to catch WINSTRIKE out and throw them through a loop twice in a row? I guess these flanks didn't really get enough damage done before. A lot of HP taken away, but yeah, realistically, the kills couldn't come in. Funnily enough, this angle with the deagle here, that's not wall-bangable. It pretty much acts like this is just paper thin. It doesn't act as a wall bang, whether you go through these holes or not. Anyway, kills come in. Should be a second for WINSTRIKE.
Absolutely, just going to be a free round for them. Not even taking a single point of damage on play over towards that A site, despite the full investment from Fate. Han right now, is he even going to move here? I kind of thought he'd maybe push up and try and grab himself an AK. Instead, he's actually just going to sit really, really deep, stay on this angle, and see if WINSTRIKE hunt for him. And if they do so, maybe he's able to grab himself a rifle. Just bring that Kevlar into the next. Eagle 2.
Yeah, nice stuff to bounce back, and on your map pick, that's what you need to happen. Not a single point of damage dealt. That is a perfect round. Unable to carry through this Deagle with body armor, gives them a tiny bit of investment here on round number 4, but albeit this will be a full eco for Fate, with the buy round coming in number 5. I don't think it'll be perfect. You see that they don't have enough money to pick up an AWP here. I guess if Han survives once again, he gets, is it $2,400 loss bonus at that point, which puts him into the 44.50 range. Not enough for an AWP. One kill here might be the difference maker. And I think if my maths is a little bit shaky, I think he actually needs 2 kills. If I do the maths out loud, guess it's $4,300. One kill will put him onto 4,650. So he needs 2 kills and to survive, or for Fate to win the round here. I guess the chance of actually having an AWP in hand in the upcoming 5th is pretty much slim to none.
Especially considering WINSTRIKE don't have one. If they have one in hand, there's an opportunity that maybe they can take it and save it, but it's just going to be the rifles all round. So as you say, near impossible that Fate will be able to pull one out into the next. WINSTRIKE are just going to walk straight onto this A site as well and realise that they've been gifted it for free. Fate put all their eggs in one basket over on that B site and trying to take that initial mid control.
I've got an idea,
with these
Jay.
pistols.
What
Go
if
on.
he puts all of his $1,950 into Tesla stocks and cashes out? I think then he might be able to afford an AWP. I think the Tesla stocks is the money maker.
Maybe that's what he needs to do. I'm not sure how you go about doing that in Counter-Strike, but if he can work it out, then that's his AWP sorted.
Well, pretty much guarantees that he doesn't get the AWP here. He might even go up in flames off the back of this C4, desperately trying to chap in shots. I don't think you're going to secure a double kill doing that. Nevertheless, 1 to 3. And my maths is actually holding up today, Jay. $1,450. Wait, I didn't say that. I said 4,350. I had a little brain fart. But he does get the less powerful sniper. Scout.
He's actually very dangerous with this scout, especially backed up by these M4s. We can consistently see him tagging up those enemies, the M4s finishing them off. Sometimes he'll hit some ridiculous headshots with him with it as well. So I'm actually excited to see what he can do with this. The peaks are coming through for Fate though. They're actually playing this ramp area really, really aggressive. Certainly trying to contest this early on. The issue is they've let Elian get right up close. He's able to find that free kill. Does get tagged down to 20 HP in the meantime, but he falls back with his life. So the man advantage secured very early on for WINSTRIKE, and well, they continue what we've seen so far. Actually, a very strong T performance here on Vertigo. It is the ever so slightly favoured side, but for a team like Fate that have just come off the back of a 16-9 win, expected a little bit more from them early on. Right now, they're just getting picked apart.
Heading into this A bomb site where only one defender holds. Yes, the fast flank from Nikki is in full effect, but Ma has to hold up with probably a multi-kill here. It's not going to happen, and there's Elian just to cut away the flank, despite being on red HP. A flawless round, and this looks like, well, just deja vu to me. WINSTRIKE doing exactly to Fate what they were able to do against Ago a little earlier on in the broadcast. Great stuff. Good decisive lead. Back to the pistols for Fate. Should be an opportunity for 5.
Absolutely. I think they almost certainly take it here as well. No investment for Fate whatsoever, except a little bit of Kevlar on Patrick. Maybe a couple of pistols here and there. Players running with their knives out means that we can't see it. We can't see it, Squid. I can see the little X-rays. Okay, there's a few Deagles out here. In fact, there's 5 Deagles out for Fate. So potential for them to do some damage here, maybe find a couple of kills. Not a lot of opportunity for them to convert this round. An early trade does come through, though. That's going to be an AK retrieve by Nicky, and he's actually able to run away with that. Might drop it over to Patrick, the man with the Kevlar. Nope, no potential for that.
Could be round over at this point. Blocker does punch in 1 headshot. And with the flank coming through, an AK-47 retrieved once again. Let's see what WINSTRIKE do to try and circumnavigate this defense. Just behind the scaffolding, being spotted out. That's another headshot. Blocker was temporarily getting all the job done, but walks right into the fire and flames. Has a little barbecue of his own. Toasty, toasty. Nice little roasty. 5-1.
That's actually a really fantastic Molotov, and to have the initiative there to, in that scenario, your teammate's just fallen, to not get too hasty and try and swing out, and instead throw that Molotov, secure that he actually can't fall back, and then swing so that you either get that free kill or he runs into the flames like he did, is absolutely perfect. WINSTRIKE, they have a 4-round lead here as they sit 5-1, and remember, they lost this pistol round, so from losing the pistol round to bounce right back in, string together 5 in a row. Absolutely fantastic stuff. But this loss bonus is now built up for Fate, and they're going to fully invest with it. 4 rifles, an AWP on Harn. Finally try to contest this and close this gap. This is exactly what we saw on Overpass, remember? We actually saw a 5-1 lead from WINSTRIKE, then they completely threw it away. If history repeats itself, then maybe we see the same here. Maybe this is Fate's round for the taking. I'm not too sure, though. This is WINSTRIKE's map pick, of course. So far, they've looked pretty comfortable on it.
I think it all comes down to the fragging power for Fate. They need to start hitting their shots. That sounds very simple, but on a map like Vertigo, you can definitely, change the pace a little bit on the T side to turn the tide and make that firepower advantage. Just negate the factor of having all of these star players in effect. And these one-way smokes, it's a great way to do it. I know a lot of damage comes through, but this is still an option and an opportunity onto the A-bomb site. All of that utility usage looks a lot more just standard and rigorous from WINSTRIKE, just forcing up all of these angles. Now Sandbags is a position that they just don't even need to check. They've got Mar completely taken, and Fate just don't look as comfortable on this second map as they previously did before. WINSTRIKE not alien to whittling down this clock, and with just the nade in hand, could actually deny this. Does put Nickel back up and smoking. They've not got enough time. Hahn, he's doing absolutely everything. Elliot now has to fall back. Hahn single-handedly heroes the round. That's a second for Fate, but how many more times can he be expected to do this, Jay? What a stunning combination. This nade to start us off, and both of the follow-up AWP shots. Spectacular stuff.
I actually have no idea how teams make that mistake time and time again. There's 4 of them alive. It's a 4 versus 2. There's 10 seconds on this clock, and they send in the lowest HP player to plant it. It wasn't like he was tanked up on his way to the site or anything. He'd been firmly on 9 HP for a good 30-40 seconds, and by him running in, it means that that single grenade can deny the plant, and all of a sudden that's it. That's round over for WINSTRIKE. They frantically have to charge into the site to retrieve it and get it down in the closing seconds, and that is their detriment. Hahn's just going to pick you off one by one if you put him in that position and give him that opportunity. And it does allow Fate to put their second on the board and potentially close this gap like they did on Overpass. Round number 8 here. It's actually WINSTRIKE to find this opening pick, but Nickelback's taken quite a lot of early damage. If they can convert this one, all 5 players grouped up over towards Raptor Flash is going to come over, and Mar's going to level up the numbers.
Looks like WINSTRIKE have been in the science lab constructing this A-take, and despite a massive quad kill from Mar, it's still around firmly in the balance, hanging in the balance here in round number 8. 45 seconds left. Crizzen, he can divert and diverge to either of these bomb sites. Seems like B will be the favored side. And let's see if Hahn actually goes for the quick wrap and rotate. He's going to jump up towards these sandbags. He'll actually catch Crizzen on the cross, perhaps. I don't know if he's hearing these footsteps, but with the AWP, he just needs to connect incredibly quickly. Will always make a step if he jumps down. And instead now Crisant, he's locked upon this bomb site. The one flash to try and bail him out. Now stuck behind the boxes. Han, he's closing in, and there's a tag. The frag grenade comes through, and he almost connects it. USPS cannot find the shot. 6-2 there for WINSTRIKE. Apart from the one clutch, Fate just seemed to have got nothing done. A pistol round victory, but nothing else to combine. And think about it. Patrick went massive in the pistol, an ace. Han, a big 3K clutch on the A bomb site. Almost another one right there. And well, WINSTRIKE, they're still disastrously ahead on rounds.
Absolutely. And that's it from those two players. Han had a big 3K, and that's it. He's sitting on 3 kills right now. That's the only impact he's had on this game. Patrick with that ace early on, well, that's all he's had. He's got 6 kills behind him, so only been able to find 1 since then. This is just quite poor from Fate. We really haven't seen a whole lot from them. We almost saw Han come through with another incredible clutch. That was actually ridiculous that he managed to hit that flick. Just unfortunate that didn't quite convert all the damage that was needed. We really need to see some better Counter-Strike from Fate here, though, if they want to close this gap and have a decent half. Close this series out 2-0, because right now we're seeing a fantastic WINSTRIKE. And maybe it is just as simple as what you said before, just about winning these aim duels. Once again, the firefights go in the favor of Fate over on this A ramp, and well, Nikki denying it at the door. I think this might be firmly in Fate's favor for the first time this game. Both the rounds they've converted have actually been off of crazy clutches. This is the first time we've seen them take a convincing round.
And that is the team play right there. I know that Nikki does find 3 of those kills, but it would never have happened without the diversion of Ma from the scaffolding. And actually a quad kill to finish us off here in round number 9. Nicely done from Fate.
Very nice indeed. Look at this. Peeks out. Actually, Nickelback walked straight into that one. He's really caught in the crossfire there. Does allow Fate to put their 3rd on the board. The bank of WINSTRIKE still going to be pretty strong, so they're going to invest fully back into this one. Can't really say the same for Fate. They do have a fair amount of money behind them. They could have bought other weapons here instead. From keeping so many players alive in the last, they're just going to stick with what they have. Early utility expended over towards this A ramp gives them some control. Nikki, desperate to try and find an opener, deals a tiny bit of damage onto Elian, but gets punished for swinging too wide. And well, that's the man advantage back in WINSTRIKE's favor. An opportunity for them to bounce right back off of that round loss.
We were talking about the disparity in those opening kills earlier on Overpass, where I think 11 out of 15 of those first rounds in that initial half, Fate took the opening pick, and only 4 out of 15 did WINSTRIKE. Some of those times they weren't even able to convert. So you had that disparity. Once again, there is a disparity, but the mirror image, considering WINSTRIKE, they're finding most of these opening picks here on Vertigo. They're doing a lot of early damage. And it's not just winning them rounds, but keeping this economy really quite low for Fate, where Patrick's again stuck on an MP9. You've got that Famicite for Han, a distinct lack of utility for the whole squad. And once again, they are pushing into this B bomb site, finding the frags. The Famis cannot connect. A double blind shot for Nickelback. Not sure how much he saw of that one. And they even had the insurance policy that they didn't even need to cash in the form of Nickelback from the rear. So 7-3, WINSTRIKE back to winning ways. It's not the reset, considering Fate do have a fairly full buy here in round number 11. And maybe this is why they didn't buy up all of the utility. They want rifles in hand. They know that they have to win this off firepower, and maybe even firepower just alone, considering WINSTRIKE do seem a couple of steps ahead. Against Dago, the T side wasn't this good. It was good, but it wasn't a 7-3 start with the opportunity at double digits.
Absolutely not. And that's very nice from Nikki. It's surprising to see Nikki go for that AWP instead of Han in this scenario. But I like the fact that he's that guy playing alley, and he sees an opportunity where every single round he's peaked and he's either been taken out by Elian or he spotted him and just got away with his life. So to say, right, I'm going to be the man to wield the AWP this round, I'm going to go for this early pick and try and take that man advantage. And that's exactly what it does. It's not against the AWPer, but he does find Nickelback early on. That gives them that man advantage. Can hold on to it over here on this A site. Looking like this is going to be a B take from WINSTRIKE. 50 seconds on the clock. They're all stacked up on these stairs behind this smoke. Spam's coming through, not dealing any damage as of yet. And Lackey's going to be the man to try and open things up. The flashes and smokes raining over. He able to find the first. Deal some damage onto the second as well. But he does manage to fall back, and the retake now in play for Fate.
It's a really impressive retake right there. Just on the afterplant for WINSTRIKE, really. Unable to trade out those frags. Blocker made a great swing inwards. Realistically, off the back of the pair of rifles saved, WINSTRIKE, that's their all-important 8th. Winning the half here. And remember, Jay, it was actually their CT side that paid dividends against Dago. Yes, their T side was good, but that defensive half looked really quite sturdy. I wonder if this halftime mark is going to be a bit of a change of pace, or whether Fate are just going to practically concede. This goes 16-3, 16-6, something in that region, and we see our third and final map of Mirage before we expected. I know that the betting odds were actually in WINSTRIKE's favor, but I wasn't expecting to see something this one-sided. I know that this is the T side of Vertigo, and you would be expecting this most of the time, but yeah, this is awkward Counter-Strike for Fate. It's not working out, and it feels like WINSTRIKE have spent just a longer amount of time in the lab, just constructing this A-take especially. It's actually very powerful here.
They've been so consistent with responding to that boost and getting that kill through the wall, and Nickelback finding 2 puts that man advantage back in their favor. Managed to get their way onto this site. This deeper wall of smokes as well gives bondik a little bit more leg room to work with. Han with this MP9. He's not going to be able to stop that plant. I think this is going to be another round going in the favor of WINSTRIKE. Very limited utility for them to work with here, and it's kind of the wrong utility. You want a Molotov in this scenario, which is not what they have. Bomb ticks away. Fate. Very little opportunity back in. The flash is going to go over, and I think they're actually going to try and peek off of it, but bondik's position so hard to clear, and he's able to convert. Nickelback finds another, and WINSTRIKE put themselves onto 9, and you're absolutely right in saying this could be potentially just WINSTRIKE completely rolling over this one, and they take it very convincingly. Of course, Fate kicking things off on this CT side, which historically is not the favoured side here on Vertigo. And I think that part of the reason why they may have chosen to kick things off on this CT side is just off of the back of having such a strong defensive half on Overpass, and actually WINSTRIKE having a really weak T half. They were very, very disjointed, quite uncoordinated in many of their pushes, and Fate were just able to find that opening pick time and time again and convert the rounds with ease. And here on Vertigo, I think they were expecting to be able to do the same, but that's just not been the case whatsoever. And now, just against the Pistols, WINSTRIKE should be able to put themselves onto double digits here in this first half.
Yeah, pretty much a guarantee with the whole B side of the map taken. bondik also just holding up the flank, and he's going to allow the CTs to rattle past. Tremendous amounts of damage there. But pretty much the round taken for WINSTRIKE. This will be a 10th. Bomb will go down on this B side of the map. And well, they are spamming these smokes, but Fate are a million miles away, trying to save the single AK. MP9 for Mar as well. I'd probably bin that going into rounds number 14 and 15. Maybe he just wants to keep the money robust and carry through a an SMG, maybe even drops it over to Blocker, who's had a bit of a slower map. He was the top fragger earlier on Overpass, certainly isn't any longer. 5 to 11 in the first half. That's, for a star player, yeah, really quite slow. He's been a little bit frozen up on this CT side, which is always disappointing to see. I think on the terrorist half, he starts to activate a little bit more. That just depends on how many rounds Fate take here. Let's say this does go 12-3. They lose the pistol round. The map's pretty much over at that point. I don't see a way back in, even with this being a fairly T-sided map. If they can get to 10-5, what's the road to a comeback? I guess you take the pistol, the initial rifle round, and you're right back in the game. But a lot of things have to go right for Fate to even get that win condition on the board.
Absolutely. Blocker and Han were really a talking point for us last week as well. Of course, we got the privilege of casting those 2 decider matches that Fate lost in the 9-5 and Malta vibes. And I remember discussing the fact that Blocker had some really slow starts in some of these maps, and it meant that they lost a load of rounds, and then either he woke up in the second half, maybe he woke up in the second map. Things started to look a little bit more positive for them. Yeah, right now, Blocker's on 5 kill. Han's only on like 3 or 4, I think. In fact, 3 frags on Han right now. Again. This is just really, really slow start. And yeah, there we go. Spam comes straight through and it's leveled out once again.
How do they consistently hit that shot? It feels like it should be a lot harder to find that railing kill.
Absolutely. It's like you kind of know where to spam, but for it to actually connect, and especially after they've fallen off of it, if you see the player on top and you spam, you know exactly where he's being boosted from. But after they then drop off and they start to fall back, to consistently get that spam as they're running away, absolutely incredible. And it means that actually you're never really at a huge disadvantage because you just level it out straight off the bat. Patrick in a position where he could do huge damage. He's actually able to find 2. Gets the third down to 46. It leaves Nicky in a 1 versus 1, but Lackey's super aware of his position and he's going to go for the long rotation round to A. Oh, no, he's not. It's a fakey wah-wah. Going back to this B site. I like this from Lackey.
Jumps on the tube, heading for the fakeroo line. 15 seconds left and he's back on the B bomb site. It's worked a treat. Look at Nicky. He's actually at the opposite side of this map right now and he's going to get a real surprise. It's definitely not the one that you want in a 1 versus 1, especially when you've got only the choice of an AWP or a MP9 in hand. And Lackey's actually playing probably the perfect angle against an MP9 especially. He's got this head glitch angle in place. The MP9's definitely not as accurate at this sort of a range. I guess the Molotov could do some damage, but oh, it misses. That means that the stairs position is totally up for grabs. And Lackey, when's he going to go for this swing? There's the smoke down as well. Goes for the rotate out. And Licky's he's just too late. He gets forced off the bomb. It's going to be an 11th round for WINSTRIKE. Choo-choo.
Wow, that was, as I said before, that was really, really nicely played from Lackey. I almost certainly expect him to just run all the way around to A. He would have been there first. Like, the rotations are quite long for both sides, so he actually probably would have been able to get up ramp first. But as soon as he goes for that bomb plant, Nicky would actually be relatively close and certainly be in contention. But by bouncing back, it means that Nicky's only alerted as soon as that bomb goes down. Actually, it's on the other side of the map. He's then got a 10-15 second rotation. Put him in a fantastic position to convert it. Nicky right now, oh, he's getting super aggressive. That's not going to pay dividends. Lackey is able to find him. It is instantly traded and tons of damage dealt early on. Of course, that engagement being traded out and then Elliot and Patrick being tagged up quite low as well. The way, WINSTRIKE are on 11 right now. And if they can close this round out, they go 12-3 at half time. I don't think anyone's expecting that. Even these bettors that are back in WINSTRIKE here on Vertigo, I'm sure they weren't expecting a 12-3 half here if they can pull it off.
I'm sure their thumbs are itching right now. Might be able to take this back 1-1, and then it's Mirage that hangs in the balance to finish off this series. That'd be a pretty exciting third map, I think. I would expect Fate to take it, to be perfectly honest, but they would only be narrow favorites in that one. We might see 2 fairly dominant maps And then a closely contested third and final. I love that preliminary spray from Bondic. I know that the boost isn't in effect this time, but just trying to find some bonus damage. Doesn't pay dividends nevertheless. 30 seconds remaining. There goes the Molotov to lock off the rotations. Fate have 3 men towards this side of the map with a 4th on the way. Yes, the rotate from Prison has been completely locked down, and that diverts Han's attention. All of the kills for WINSTRIKE, and that is quite a slick combination to finish off their terrorist side. Pretty much perfect. After losing the pistol, you're never expecting a T-side to take 12 out of 15 of these rounds. That is quite sensational. Fate never able to chain together consecutive wins here on that CT side. That really does cost them at the end. And just nobody firing off. Han, who is a star AWPer at this sort of tier of the scene. 4 kills, not good enough. Blocker with 7 kills, also not good enough. Only Patrick with 10 frags. He's the only person scraping double digits.
This certainly puts me on the edge of my seat, because you look at Mirage, and that should be a pretty clear-cut win for Fate if it does go down to this third map. When you look at it, like, historically, actually WINSTRIKE just really don't like Mirage. If you look at their recent win rate on it, they somehow beat a Spider on it last week 16-5, which is like absolutely nuts. That's like a really incredible win for them to pull off. But then other than that, they've just been completely decimated every time they played it. They lose to Gamer Legion, Tiki Takan, Nexus, Navi Jr., and these have been really convincing losses as well. Yeah.
Every time you say Tiki Takan, it just gets me. Can you say it again?
Tiki Takan. They've actually just like disbanded as well. They lost 3 of their players. It's
No.
really sad. Well, not quite. Not quite.
Not Tiki Takan. I thought they were going to be the new solid roster that stayed for years on the scene. Right,
I know, it's quite upsetting.
Disband.
It's quite upsetting. I don't think they've disbanded. I think they've just like they've lost some players. Some of them have got signed elsewhere. Roster's definitely had some big shuffles, and I'm not sure if they'll be called Tiki Takan anymore either, which is a shame.
Not even going to be called Tiki Takan. Oh man, my day just gets worse and worse. I was, for my birthday, because it's my birthday coming up in like a month or so, they need to get back together. I've never casted Tiki Takan. I'm pretty sure they're like the only team like in this whole tournament that I haven't casted. Well, no, they're not even in this tournament. What do they even play?
Yeah, they've played previous weeks of Malta Vibes and 9 to 5 and things like that. Yeah, they've been playing a fair amount recently, actually. Yeah, mainly Malta Vibes and 9 to 5. They've actually played absolutely tons of it. They've been in it since like week 3 of Malta Vibes or something like that. They've been playing absolutely tons recently.
I'm heartbroken. Let's get a petition going on like Change.org. Get Tiki Takan back together. Bring back the boys. Let me cast them just once. Just give me one best of one. Then I'm happy. Then they can disband. I've got so many Tiki Takan jokes that I'll never be able to, especially with this being like Malta Vibes and like a summary tournament. Tiki Takan is like the most summary name there is.
Will go to waste, Squid. All that time you spent writing out these jokes. Never get to use them.
I'll never get that time back.
Together. This round's not back together for Fate though. Look at this. They've actually just been completely decimated. Look at these odds now. 10-1. Hit Fate right now, and you get 2p back. You place a pound on WINSTRIKE, you get 2p back if they win. That's how confident LootBet are that WINSTRIKE do tip this one over the edge.
I'm pretty sure Ma actually did see. Oh no, this is the knife. It's time for a knife. It's time.
Oh no.
It's time.
Oh, that's sad. I feel bad. I feel bad for Ma. They're not having fun here on Vertigo, are they?
Can we go on to Mirage now? I feel like it is time for Mirage.
This is the thing, though. Fate should be relatively heavily favored on Mirage. It's certainly not one of their best maps, but they're not too bad on it, and WINSTRIKE actually really don't like it. However, and normally, actually, WINSTRIKE would ban it out. With their current win rate on it, it would be something they'd ban out. But because they've got several super weak maps, they have to ban those instead, and it means that Mirage is floated as a third when it realistically shouldn't be. However, yeah, with Fate taking a loss like this so badly, and actually their two key players just not showing up at all, they have to do quite a lot to kind of mentally reset and come into Mirage, and they have to make sure that Blocker and Han are showing up. Otherwise, I actually think WINSTRIKE could take this series 2-1.
Yeah, this is soul-searching time for Fate. Maybe not here in round number 17, but between the break in these two maps. I'm guessing that we are going to a third at this point. I guess Blocker would probably find this frag that he actually allows his teammate to die as well. I think that might have even been over the other side of the map, but you do see the conversion. He'll actually sneak in a bomb plant. This is so sneaky. Tiptoeing his way on. There goes the bomb. Oh no. That got touch and go for a second. Finally finished off by Lackey. I think WINSTRIKE will just shrug those couple of kills away. It's 14-3.
Absolutely is. They're going to be very happy. This is a very happy WINSTRIKE right now. Feeling good. They're feeling fired up. They don't even have to do a whole lot right now. They're just kind of winning. It's weird. We saw them trying really hard earlier on in the game. They were doing all of these strats and playing super coordinated. Right now, you can just see Fate are defeated. WINSTRIKE are just winning every single aim duel they take. There's not really much of an opportunity, but this is really Fate's last opportunity if they do want to pull back a few rounds here. They've got the rifles in hand. Could maybe tip this one over the edge. If it doesn't happen, though, WINSTRIKE just close this one out. Probably 16-3, which would be pretty horrendous for Fate. One of their worst wins, especially on this map.
Yeah, I think that they, again, just shrug that one off as well. Just go into Mirage with a head held high. It's not get much better. I'm pretty sure this map is over at this point. Crizzen on an absolute tear towards the middle of the map. Consecutive headshots to take away the pair of Ts. And, well, Fate, I think they're going to be stuck on 3 rounds until the very end here. They're not going to have a lot of money going into round number 19. Just the loss bonus. Certainly not the time to save, considering they are significantly behind. And I guess if there was a time for a magical 2 versus 5 comeback, it would be right here, right now. I still can't see it happening. Low on HP and low on manpower. WINSTRIKE again just taking ramp control, watching with a firm grasp of this A bomb site. And as they spot nobody towards this side of the map, I think this is going to telegraph everything. Psst. It's towards the B bomb site, and Lackey, he's going to communicate that and call that through. There goes the smoke grenade as well. That means that Fate either have to push through this smoke, wait till 10... Oh, no, it's a horrible smoke. My bad. Lackey should be able to convert this either way. And there are the headshots to punch in the digits. WINSTRIKE, they're putting the win in WINSTRIKE here on Vertigo. 15-3.
They absolutely are. And I touched upon this before, but it just is really showcased in that round as well. WINSTRIKE aren't doing anything amazing. It's not like they're impressing me massively where they do some kind of crazy setup or they play super coordinated and I go, wow, I really like that. Because sometimes that happens, yeah. A team will do something really impressive. They'll have a really nice CT setup or even on the T side, to be honest. And I go, wow, I really like that kind of thing. They're not doing that at all. They're actually just pushing in. They're just winning every single aim duel. They're actually playing quite individualistic Counter-Strike. We're not even seeing them swinging together and going for trades or anything. We're just seeing a lot of 1v1 fights that are just going in the favor of this CT side. And we see it perfectly again in this final round. 3 kills going in the favor of WINSTRIKE in round number 19. And this might just be the start of the end. It's Han and Mars try and pick up the pieces with these Galils. And I mean, look at this. Han, normally a super crispy player. Massive whiffs there, and yeah, leaves it all down to Marth. Don't fancy his chances here whatsoever.
Wait, this is the end of the end. 16-3, and the most dominant map of the day. WINSTRIKE taking it over the top right there. I'm actually a little bit surprised, to be perfectly honest. I thought that that was going to be a much closer map. I actually favored Fate on that particular map, but definitely misjudging the action. And that is why Vertigo can be so cruel. Of course, Fate have to ban out Nuke. Just 7 days of the week, they're banning it. So Vertigo seems like a very easy pick for WINSTRIKE, and making no mistakes in the veto either. So, I mean, props to them. They take it to Mirage, this third and final map. And doesn't it feel like Fate just are the perennial third mappers? They seem to always go to all three. Just doesn't even matter where they are in the map pool. Sometimes it's Dust 2, Train. This time Mirage, we see them just like shake things up a little bit. Can we favor them going into map 3?
Not too sure, Squid. Before we touch on that, though, this is why we're not analysts. This is 100% why we're not analysts. We come into this and we go, oh, yeah, Fate, they should be able to do it, this, and they get absolutely railed. But yeah, I mean, we do see Fate quite often go onto this third map, and actually more often than not, we do see them kind of come into a series like this. They'll do really well in their first map pick. Sometimes they'll fall asleep a little bit in the second, and then they come back into the third, and they go, right, we have to step this up now. Let's go. And they'll manage to pull it off. So I actually don't completely count them out, especially after seeing a 16-3 loss. You sometimes think, wow, okay, like they're looking really, really weak, especially in that map. They really didn't bring anything into it whatsoever. The key players weren't showing up. The trades just weren't there whatsoever. And you say, right, okay, like they're not looking too good. I don't favor them on Mirage. This Mirage map is certainly anyone's game, especially after what we've just seen from WINSTRIKE. But I think Fate have got a fantastic opportunity here to take 10 minutes, sit down, reset, and come into Mirage and take it as the favorites that they are.
Well, we'll see that and all more after the break.
Nice shot. Lock and load.
Wow, very good. Let me show you how it is done. Yeah, no. Woo, damn! That was one of the best tickle fights I've been to.
Welcome back, everybody. It's the Eden Arena, Malta vibes. We're still in week 9. We're going to be here for some time with Fate and WINSTRIKE to top off the action in this winners match. Somebody is going to the playoffs in the next hour or so. A Mirage, Jay. I want to throw straight over to you. What are your predictions for this one?
I honestly don't know, Squid. I always come into these series and I have like some stats written out and I say, right, okay, well, according to this and this and this, Fate almost certainly win. And then I get proven wrong and I'm sitting here before the third map, pulling my hair out, going, I have no idea. I have nothing to bring into this. I really, really don't know. Fate, of course, were the favorites coming into this series, but look at this. We see them take Overpass relatively convincingly. We actually saw a very, very weak WINSTRIKE, especially on their T side on that map. But then coming into Vertigo, they not only bounce back, but they absolutely decimate the Bulgarians on a map that they should be pretty confident with. And now going on to Mirage, I don't know if they can keep up that momentum and we actually see this continued slump that we saw in Vertigo from Blocker and Hahn, then I think that there's a lot of potential for WINSTRIKE to come into this one. And I actually think there's a huge amount of pressure as well on those star players for Fate to show up to this one, because Blocker, if you look at him here across those two maps, he's actually still taking over Lackey, who is the strongest player on that WINSTRIKE side. And that's considering he only got 7 frags on that Vertigo game. So that really shows the impact that he had on Overpass. But yeah, he needs to show up here in this third map.
Yeah, he's definitely the difference maker, a little bit of an X factor. Somebody else that we always talk about on this Fate side, pretty much to no end, is Hahn. He had a pretty slow map on Vertigo as well, despite a pretty decent Overpass. So we're definitely looking for him to step up as we jump into the knife round on Mirage. It's our third and final map in this series. Let's get into the action. Mirage J. The knife round usually doesn't mean as much here on this turf.
Actually doesn't. Pretty 50-50. I think either side will be two-phase. What side they start off with. And I'm not sure what I prefer on either of these sides either, because like Fate, they showed us a really, really fantastic CT half on Overpass. And I was expecting that, kicking things off on Vertigo, for that to correlate through and them actually have a good start to it, but they just didn't. It actually just completely fell apart for them. So I don't really know. I think it won't make a huge amount of difference. Oh, it is actually going to be Fate to take it though. So I assume they opt for this CT side. That's normally what you go for, and that's actually what they go for straight off the bat here.
Seems pretty legit to me. I think that means that Fate have actually won all 3 of these knife rounds over in this series, which doesn't sound like much, but definitely gives you a slim advantage going into every single map. And look at these odds. Pretty much as close as you get, delivered by Loot Bats, with WINSTRIKE actually being short favorites over in this third map of the day. Obviously, the bettors putting a lot of faith in them after that 16-3. Just previously, we know that Fate are no sleeper agents on this third and final map. They're actually pretty damn decent on Mirage, especially when you get over to that CT side. Expect no 16-3 shenanigans this time. And as we said before, those stars need to align. Those big fraggers need to shine. Rotate over here towards the A bomb site for WINSTRIKE. If Fate do decide to go towards the CT spawn, they should be a little down on their luck. Here comes the crossfire and a 2-for-1 trade. Mar punching in all of the kills. That bomb does go down, but it's in a 2v4 situation.
Well, Fate previously showing us that they're a side with amazing mental resilience, and they're trying to show it off here in this pistol round, but it's all starting to fall apart from them. A 4v2 becomes a 2v1, and Hahn trying to pick up the pieces here. He is the man with the kit, so he has got the time to do so, but he needs to find 2 frags before he can try and defuse, and it's not going to happen. Bondic somehow converts it. They find 2 each in that final scenario, and WINSTRIKE actually managed to convert that pistol round despite the messy start.
That's actually pretty astonishing, especially with the CT setup from Fate. You'd have thought that they could have brought that one over the top. I think their pistols have been a little bit shaky today. They did win the pistol round on the CT side of Vertigo, but that was only off the back of Patrick finding an ace and everybody else just missing shots left, right, and center. There should be the rotate coming through already from Fate. They've already spotted out all of the aggression and all of that information towards ramp. They've, of course, got Lackey towards the middle of the map, who finds perfect timing to find another one. Just a second earlier on that swing, and he would have probably been donezo without any success. This is a pretty much guaranteed second round for WINSTRIKE. The whole of that A-bomb site under their control. For Fate, I guess it's just trying to scramble in to find an exit frag. I can guarantee you now that they won't take a rifle out of this scenario. It's quite a tough after plant to crack, and they're just not even going to have a go at it.
Try and bring this MAC-10 into the next, the Deagle and Kevlar as well. Of course, they're on this CT side, so saving doesn't really mean a whole lot. It's not like they're not going to get any loss bonus or anything like that. They'll have the same cash as the rest of their team. And WINSTRIKE aren't going to hunt for them. They've got a couple of rifles here, a couple of MAC-10s they want to bring into this next round. And they know their opponents haven't got anything that's going to cause them a whole lot of problems in the next. So keeping 4 players alive allows them to rack up this economy and have a good start here on Mirage. And this is exactly what they need. If they want to try and take this third map, being the underdogs here, they absolutely need to take early rounds, try and do what they did on Vertigo. Of course, those odds early on actually favouring them ever so slightly. They were changing as we spoke, but just before they went off the screen, WINSTRIKE were the favourites coming into this third map, according to our partners over at Lootbet.
People are betting, as we're speaking, on all of these matches over at the Malta Vibes. Obviously, a fairly big part of the Counter-Strike circuit. Nevertheless, 2-0, good start for WINSTRIKE, only having a MAC-10 in contest. Obviously, that Deagle and armor in hand for Ma. But they should realistically be able to sweep this one away, especially if Crizzen is fishing for information over on that B-bomb site. He's going to get all of the info fairly early, and this is already shaping up to be somewhat of a B-split with the bomb stacked towards T-Apps. I guess Fate will probably be thrown through a loop here, and Bondic actually surviving that one will probably keep Fate towards this side of the map. It might actually bait WINSTRIKE into the offensive. Nevertheless, I think they need to rely on Crizzen and Nickelback here to get that information on the B-bomb site, discover that there's nobody towards this side of the map, and that seems to be where WINSTRIKE are going. Should guarantee a pretty clean round here for them.
It's actually quite a nice read after they spot out that initial player, rather than saying, oh, we've got the pick over towards this side of the map, let's push in here, which is what you'd normally do on a buy round if you knew you were against a buy. Instead, they spot out that first player, get that kill, and they say, do you know what? These guys are on an eco, so it's actually quite likely that they're stacked up towards this A site. So let's send out the feelers, see if there's anything over towards B, and then when they discover that there isn't, they can just push right in, get that plant. And an opportunity here for them to keep all of their players alive once again. There's not really a whole lot of point in them hunting. These MAC-10s might push further just to try and rack up some more cash. That's exactly what they're doing. As Han can't connect any of these shots, he might get taken out here, and there we go. It takes them a little bit longer than I'm sure they would have hoped, but they find the kill nonetheless. And an opportunity for them all to stay alive here as well, despite the damage that they've taken.
3-0. WINSTRIKE now challenged by the first rifle round of Fate. Han with the EWP in hand and everybody else M4A4s. It's a little shaky in terms of, I guess, the utility on Han, but everybody else with Molotovs, those all-important smoke grenades, especially on Mirage, where you've got those key choke points of ramp in the B apartments, where you pretty much guaranteed need that smoke grenade. And Han with just one in his back pocket to bail him out of trouble from the Molotov. Doesn't want to take 50 damage for nothing. Instead, just throwing down that $300 worth of utility to guarantee his exit. And that utility already going to good use, Jay. Molotov finding a quick kill, and there's Han to convert the second.
This is a good response from Fate so far. They, of course, don't want to allow WINSTRIKE to snatch away this buy round from them and continue this early lead. They will have money in the bank to buy into the next. Of course, They did just come into this one with a couple of Mac 10s, a Galil, and a couple of AKs, so certainly not the firepower they would have wanted. Right now, they're getting completely shut down, and Nicky's angle, if it goes overlooked, like it often is, he could go pretty big here. The only issue is he has no info. There are 3 guys here that have not made any noise whatsoever. That Molotov's going to give it away, and there we go. Elian doesn't check it whatsoever. The nade will go down. It's a little bit too late, but still does tons of damage. And that's all over. WINSTRIKE only allowed 1 kill here. Nickelback might be able to punch in some more damage, but it's looking more and more unlikely as Mar pushes through that smoke, finishes him off, and Fate put their first round on the board. It's the buy round, and it allows them to come into round number 5 here with plenty of cash and plenty of weaponry to work with.
On to 3. Time for Fate to try and claw a couple back here. Obviously wanting to close this scoreline at least 3-3, get that economy booming on your CT side. Not really had an opportunity to do that as of then. Nevertheless, a pretty clean round in the 4th. Gives them a little bit of bonus cash, and there's Blocker right through the smoke to take away the first. WINSTRIKE put on the back foot once again, and Jay, this is what went wrong for them earlier on Overpass. It was all about those opening frags for Fate, and once again, with rifles in hand, they seem to be coming out on top of these early round engagements. We saw a bit of a lapse of that on Vertigo, but if they slip back into their ways being WINSTRIKE, this is the response. Han, again, ever so aggressive with that ult for the second.
Their round win rate doesn't actually correlate. When they find that opening pick, they take the round 67% of the time. When the opening pick goes in the other team's favor, they only take it 28% of the time. So they really struggle. When Fate find this opening kill, they really, really struggle to find their way back in. That's certainly been an issue for them. This default not worked out for them at all. Elian is able to find himself 1 back in the meantime, though. And as he sits on Tetris, might be able to deal some more damage here. Instead, swarms right round with his pistol, spots out the player in connector. Surely doesn't actually see it. Blocker's able to capitalize despite being on such low health. That's going to be Bondic falling from the back lines as well. Fate secure that second. That certainly could have gone the other way had Blocker been spotted. Luckily, he's able to get away with murder there.
Absolutely. That would have been the second anchor that Bondic needed on that A bomb site to negotiate his way into a much more powerful position from the Palace. Instead, he's forced with only 13 HP to boulder his way down onto the site, take fights from 3 different angles, and even if you've got full HP, that becomes a fairly impossible scenario. Nevertheless, in response from Fate, more aggression towards the top of mid, but the Eagles only connected with the first shot, and there's Nickelback for another. With Blocker stood out in the open, standing open on mid does become a little bit of a risk. It's right back to B for WINSTRIKE. Nicky, yes, he's watching and waiting. And with no time pressure, WINSTRIKE, it all comes down to these headshots here. I think this is just the perfect angle from Nicky. With that M4A1S, it doesn't give away any Sankus, no tracers. Means that, well, they don't absolutely guarantee know where he is. Instead, just having to take the swing instead of the frag and trying to scramble to get this bomb down on the B site.
Oh, what was a 3 versus 3 very quickly becomes a 3v nothing. They are able to get that bomb down, though, so it means they have a little bit of extra cash going into this next round. It will certainly be a buy-up from them. Fate, though, rather convincing, keeping 3 alive, retain that AWP as well going into this next. And that means that some of these players are sitting around that 8-9k mark. They've got plenty of cash to work with. That AWP is going to be dropped over to Han. I wouldn't be surprised if we see a double up setup. No, not this early on. Just going to stick with those rifles for now. Make sure they've got that cash in the bank to fall back on if needs be. As they level things up 3-3 right now. WINSTRIKE need to start bouncing back here. Otherwise, they might find themselves with an early detriment.
Yeah, Mirage is actually a slightly tougher map to make the double AWPs work. You're commonly forced into a lot of retakes, especially on that A-bomb site, where the AWPs are just well, far inferior to their rifle counterparts. Having an M4 or an M3A1S on the retake is much, much better than having a double AWP setup lost in translation. Guess that's why Fate decided to go for the 4 rifle setup. Just trying to build that bank even further. We talked about them being in the mid-thousands here, guaranteeing themselves a back-to-back buy. That's incredibly important, meaning WINSTRIKE, they need to win 2 in a row, or 2 out of 3 to force the eco here, which against Fate is far easier said than done. Minute left. Just creeping their way into more advantageous positions. Nickelback gunning for this opening frag, and this pincer of connector actually allows the swing to come through from ramp, from palace. And WINSTRIKE, this will be a pretty classic A take.
Down this clock incredibly low, 30 seconds left on it. The smokes start to come through. Nickelback and connector. If he finds this opening pick, there's a lifeline. He's able to do exactly that. That works the pincer through. Look at this player, though, still on the firebox. If Mark can deny this bomb plant, he could go huge here. Instead, actually swings out and tries to stop the push. Only good for 1 before he gets traded. The man advantage in WINSTRIKE's favor as they punch in the numbers. 6 seconds left in the round. It's extended further, though, as the bomb is able to go down. But the kills come through for Fate, and they should be able to get this retake done.
Looks easy on paper, but with this prod from Lackey upon short, time not running out as of this point. Nickelback wants to be the aggressive swing, and he's actually heading towards, well, temporarily into window room, but he's running out of time, and there's the headshot to secure it. 4 for Fate, and this is where things start to get scary. Surviving the 3 players alive will grow that bank further. Everybody on Fate's side will be up to the high thousands at this point. Not quite 5 figures, but once these buys come through, you'll see the residual cash will be pretty much sat above 5,000 for every single player. Remember, boys and girls, you can go to Hellcase, use Malta AV for some bonus money, and Malta V15 for that refill bonus as well. So you can do that. Please be 18, gamble responsibly, all of that good stuff. Right now, WINSTRIKE, I think they need a bit of a gamble themselves on this T side. They've been heading towards the A site quite commonly. It's not been working out for them. Finally, all of the parts in place for Fate, actually doing some significant damage. This might be their first playoffs spot of the week. Let's see. Blocker, just 1. Backtracks through that smoke. That's a lovely little insurance policy to make sure that he doesn't die. And with the combination of Han just chipping and chiming through, Fate are finding all of these frags.
Yeah, this isn't working out at all for WINSTRIKE here. They expended tons and tons of utility in that first 10-15 seconds of the round, and they just weren't able to take any control with it. Prison and Alien here in a 2 versus 5. No real opportunity for them. If they can maybe find this kill onto Blocker, opportunity. Instead, they actually group up, go over towards B. This isn't the worst of calls. If they can take out Nicky, they might be able to connect a shot onto Han. They could certainly go for a bomb plant here and keep this round in contention. I'd rather them just kind of hold here and try and save. I think that actually, before, it wasn't looking on the cards. A 5 versus 2 with like a minute 10 on the clock, there was no chance of them saving, but with Fate not getting too aggressive, 25 seconds now left on the clock, yeah, I think they just hold on to these rifles. That's what we're going to see.
Pretty much a guaranteed frag there. Surprised that Blocker's the man with the plan to take these rifles away. Nevertheless, it is only 1 rifle dropped for Fate. They survive in this one with 4 alive, and that money will continue to just snowball out of control. This is now looking like a very scary CT half. Not really in terms of rounds, but definitely in terms of economy. You've got Han into the 5 figures, just shy of that after he picks up the utility, and everybody else really just riding in or around this $5,000 to $8,000 mark, with Blocker being the only player with a little bit less. That's not going to be much of an issue. That means that WINSTRIKE, I think they need 3 rounds in a row, or I guess 3 out of 4, 3 out of 5 to start forcing up the ecos. primarily, Jay, they have to start doing damage in these scenarios. They've been down on their luck and down on their frags as well. You look at the kill disparity between some of these players, it doesn't look too crazy, but considering they took the first 3 rounds and this has been a 5-round tear for Fate, this is starting to get a little out of control on the T side. This has to be a fairly scrappy buy to try and bring it back. Otherwise, the economy is once again polarized. And after the tactical timeout, you usually expect to see some more standard Counter-Strike. This time we see a little more out-of-the-box idea for WINSTRIKE. Hellion back with the AWP and only one other rifle on the server being Krizen's AK. I guess they have to put in the AWP fairly aggressively. And the response is just way too slow after that peak.
Gonna have the angle posted on him, I'm sure, but the smoke going up, it's gonna deny it completely. Han's able to fall right back. The pop through the smoke isn't gonna connect, and Alien is gonna fall right back. This just isn't working out for WINSTRIKE whatsoever, as Patrick finds himself one more. bo3 chiming in some damage, but not allowed to find himself the kill. And it's Nickelback and Alien, the 2 men with rifles right now to try and get this one done. A 2 versus 5. They creep their way down mid. Fate aren't too fast. They know that their opponents can't plant the bomb in mid, and therefore they're just going to group up and get on these sites. Make sure that the crossfires are in place to deny them from wriggling their way in. They are getting quite aggressive stances, though. They could certainly have the element of surprise if they come up short.
Doesn't look like anything's going to be surprising Fate right now. They've got Han just posted, watching this short angle. I think that Fate are aware of where the gaps in their defense is, considering they've got no mid control. They kind of have to prioritize this angle, and looks to be a pretty solid save, especially with a bomb dropped at the other side of the world. It's going to be 6 for Fate. Very nice tear of rounds once again, just shutting things away over on this B bomb site. And, well, I guess WINSTRIKE, they took the tactical pause. It didn't work out for them. Is it time to go back to the drawing board once again? This is starting to look a little one-sided after the pistol trio. And Fate pulling together a very similar CT side to that which we saw on Overpass, where they lost, yes, 5 out of the first 6, but then took it back 16-9, and incredibly convincingly. It's actually Fate taking the tactical. They're convincingly ahead, but they want the break in pace nonetheless. I've got to say, Fate actually take more tactical pauses than almost any team at this sort of tier of the circuit, and it seems to favor them. They win the majority of their rounds after these tacks. Now that I've said that, they'll probably lose this one, and I'll look like an idiot once again.
Well, you are absolutely right. They do take a lot of timeouts, and it seems to work out for them. That timeout that we saw before from WINSTRIKE, I think might have even just been to discuss the money, because they had 2 players that saved, and they got no loss bonus because of it. But the players around them, despite that max loss bonus, they didn't really have the money to invest. So it was to discuss whether maybe they just go for the Galils and a flashbang each and force up fully with those SMGs, or whether they actually just buy down to the 2k mark on 3 of those guys and accept the fact that their economy is going to be a little bit in pieces. That's what they do. And, well, considering the following round they managed to save 2 players as well, it actually means that it works out for them. Here in round number 10, they are going to have a full investment. Limited utility on a couple of these guys, but rifles all round and the AWP on Alien nonetheless. Real issue is, look at this, there's 3 AKs on this CT side. This really shows how many players Fate have been keeping alive in some of these rounds, and clearly the weaponry that they've been able to retrieve certainly gives them an advantage here.
Well, that flash was hideous. That one a little bit better, but Patrick already awake and aware to hit both of those opening shots. That changes matters as Blocker's able to find one more, initiates another retake for Fate. That's if this bomb can go down, and it finally does. Nicky unable to prevent it. Planted in quite a powerful position with the support of Krizen from the A ramp. Actually wants to rotate his way for the Galil, not the AK, and straight into Palace, so they have this double-pronged defense. That's a lovely Molotov. Is it actually going to stretch Elian out of position. I'm really not sure. Crescent finally gets blasted by one shot. Instead, it's Elian to find another one. Nikki now needs both of these kills. The peak doesn't need to come through right now, but Nikki always holding this defuse. It's actually smoke dissipating. Swing comes in for WINSTRIKE.
Wow. Patrick did a huge amount of work there to find those opening 2 kills on that site before he falls. That's absolutely fantastic as they anchor to find 2 before you drop. But Han coming in from CT, misses a really important shot. He falls. Another player falls over towards jungle as well. And despite the fact that Blocker was able to find one more, comes down to that 2v2 situation. That bomb going down too makes things really difficult. Fate are going to have the cash to reinvest into this one nonetheless and try and extend that gap a little bit further again. But with Crescent charging right out, he's found the first one to Patrick. Han missing once again. And WINSTRIKE able to just waltz onto this A bomb site, completely wipe out the defenses and get this plant in.
Back-to-back rounds. We did see this on Overpass, all things considered, where WINSTRIKE did find a temporary gap in the defense. It was realistically Fate taking that tactical pause and actually stacking 4 towards B, which was the change of pace. If WINSTRIKE had been aware of this, maybe even a coach, maybe like tuning into the stream between the maps, then they would have known this. They would know what Fate's tendencies are just from watching tens and tens of VODs. There are literally hundreds of Fate VODs to actually go off at this scenario, but so you should know the tendencies. 6-5 nonetheless, and this could be a bit of a turning point in this first half. Unfortunately for WINSTRIKE, they did so little damage in the first 10 or so rounds that Fate still have a pretty nice bank built up. I don't think they're going to spend absolutely everything into this one. A couple of saves here and there is keeping the economy buoyant for Nikki and Ma, meaning Fate, they don't have to eco in this one, and they shouldn't really have to eco in the next. There's that double-edged sword of the economy starting to build up as well, which means the WINSTRIKE still have a bit of a hill to climb.
Again, WINSTRIKE opting for this A site. This time, Fate are playing it much deeper, trying to go for this retake. Nickelback nonetheless finds that opener onto Blocker. And Lackey with one of his own gives them this man advantage. There's a huge gap in this CT smoke, but due to where the bombs have been planted, it's not going to cause too many problems. Bondic doing a little bit of damage as well there through that smoke. Just applying pressure, pushing back this retake. And, well, if they can make the clock tick away long enough, then I think Fate might actually just go for this save, and that's what they're doing. Don't fancy their chances here whatsoever. They're going to fall right back to B and save these rifles, but Lackey, he's already on the hunt and might be able to deny them of this.
This is a nice, powerful position. I feel like it's already being scoped out by Nikki, who's holding towards the bench. Remember, if Fate do survive with 3 rifles, this guarantees a full buy into the next as well. And I guess even with 2 alive, they'd probably be able to go for the full investment. Nevertheless, all 3 do live on to fight another day, and Fate take that all-important tactical timeout. I feel like WINSTRIKE are playing quite a predictable T-side, and Fate just, they're obviously reading into it, knowing that they're going towards the A-bomb site every time. That's obvious, but I guess Fate are expecting a change of pace, and it's that moment. When's it going to come? Do Fate stack 3 to 4 players towards the A site now and risk a B rush? I really don't know what the answer is. I guess you have to stack this A bomb site at some point. If they don't, and WINSTRIKE just roll into it 3 more times, you look like an absolute clown. Whereas if you go towards the other side of the map, you could be out red. Well, very similarly, I guess it has to be for WINSTRIKE a contact B or a rush A. And looks to be the latter, I guess. Or the former.
Absolutely shakes. Absolutely shakes their opponents up. Bondic over towards ramp early as well. Wants to try and sell a little bit of a convincing fake. The smoke's going up. Going to allow him to do so, though. That grenade doing tons of damage. And Nikki with the jump spot has tons and tons of info. The Molotov's going to go down, but he's going to fall nonetheless. Mar needs to pick up the pieces here, and he's able to find himself 2. Staying alive here as well. It's going to buy tons of time for the rotations, and he walks straight into that smoke just at the right time. Lackey's unable to spot him out, and this gives tons of time for his teammates to come in and support. Blocker in the back line's able to find himself 1, make that 2 as well. Elian gets his head ripped clean off when he peeks with that AWP. Blocker starting to show up once again to this series as Fate. Well, they managed to put their 7th on the board. They've broken this win streak from WINSTRIKE as they opted to go over towards B. They didn't want to rinse and repeat that A site. I think they were somewhat expecting Fate to go for some kind of stack. Maybe they go for it again here. Maybe they say, oh, that didn't work. Let's go back to A, because they've had crazy, crazy success on it. They just seem to walk straight out and find those initial aim jewels, and when they do so, that's it. Fate just go for the save.
Doesn't seem to be that favoured tactic this time. 3 players into the B-apps. Fate just resorting back to a fairly standard setup. Pretty crucial Molotov towards the back of the B-apps as well. We'll just slow WINSTRIKE down for a couple of seconds as these Ts are literally stacked all over this map. It almost feels like they're going to go for a fake towards the A bomb site, or even actually a fake towards the B bomb site, grab that bomb and actually retaliate back to A. That actually looks like what they're electing to do here, considering I guess Nickelback will have to fall away to grab that bomb if they are actually going to head into the B bomb site, and this really doesn't look like a guaranteed B take. If these WINSTRIKE members can find 1 or 2 kills towards this side of the map, this will force the whole rotate off and away for Fate, and they can go for this pretty standard A strat once more. I don't even know if they'll push into it. We'll probably see these other 2 members fall off. No, it's only Elian instead. He'll move into the other side of the map, and with that 1 kill coming through from Lackey, you can see that the rotate has already been pulled. Will Fate fall for this? That's the big question. Still with a single man. That's Han towards this B bomb site. I guess he's radioing in that this is very likely a fake, but I guess all of those site rotates have come through, and this will elect the bomb. We'll just allow a clean path into this one.
This is actually quite a bizarre fake from WINSTRIKE as well, because they did sell that as a fake on B. Just by the fact that no one pushed in to support Lackey there means that that was kind of their plan. But they didn't have anyone waiting outside of A, especially not the bomb waiting outside of A to push in when the rotation was pulled. And it means that they actually took ages to get across. With this man disadvantage, it's not looking all too favourable for them. Fate already in position to shut this one down. They know exactly where Bondic is. They are going to swing him, and, well, no trade potential on Patrick there. Bondic's going to get that Molotov on the bomb. There's no smoke for it as well. This is going to run down the clock quite low. Bondic makes this very, very dangerous. The bomb has to be stuck, and Mar comes through with the support hero. Look at that. Fate put themselves onto 8. They secure the half at the very least, and they look to extend it to 9.
Yeah, a little bit of a blunder in the 1 versus 1 there. I think you can guarantee that at least one of those CTs will be playing the supportive angle. Nevertheless, it's still a slow peak. And Mar from Palace is just able to eviscerate, take the round. That's an 8th for Fate. I guess this is an acceptable half at this point. Taking a 9th would definitely be favorable. I would have loved to see WINSTRIKE just hightail their way back into the A bomb site. I think even they thought they were getting a little bit predictable. You did see the adjustment come through for Fate. They had 3 and then 4 players over towards the A side of things. This time it's a lot of map control towards B. They've already got all of the information, and now they need Nikki to slide on through as well. What's he doing still at the B bomb site? Mar's got all of the information, but Nikki is staying put. I guess they're keeping him here as an insurance policy. But we can see that this is going to be a guaranteed A push. There's no way that this is going through. And if Crizzen finds this headshot here, this pretty much ends the round for Fate, I guess. There's the kill. Mar, he's going to find it instead. That's massive.
Crizzen had the perfect angle there to deny the flank, and instead Mar's able to wreak havoc, even doing tons of damage onto Lackey. Gives them the man advantage. Minute left on the clock, and WINSTRIKE start to second guess this. Nikki, the insurance policy that they kept in the apartments, is almost certainly going to go unchecked. WINSTRIKE are expecting nobody to be here because the aggression came all the way through, and Nikki's able to find Lackey. That's a free kill to thin out the numbers further of this attack, and Bondic Oh, might get the timing. No, he does just about find Patrick nonetheless, and the second as well onto Blocker. What on earth was that? Levels this one back out into a 2-on-2, but with 20 seconds on the clock, this bomb needs to speed things up.
Nickelback has so much space in the connector. He can practically plant this bomb on the outer side of this A bomb site without any contest. That peek into jungle does give Nicky a little bit of space, but with Hard missing the shot, that's a triple kill for Bondic. They might be able to single-handedly end this half. The captain has to. It's him versus Nicky as that bomb is planted in the outmost open of this A bomb site. Both players down to their half HP mark, and it's realistically who hits the shot first. Bondic, he's good for all 4. That's 7 for WINSTRIKE, and a half that seemingly fell apart, brought back in the last couple. Fate really just letting their foot off the gas there in the last 5 or 6. We see the scoreboard. What a CT train right in the middle. 6 in a row. WINSTRIKE somehow with that AAA take working out every single time, and then that last combination from the captain himself. Bonding up to 14 kills here to lead the charge for WINSTRIKE.
Absolutely is. No one on his side even really coming close. Fantastic Counter-Strike, and we really saw it that last round. That was incredible. Patrick actually just had the angle on him. That should be his kill all day long, but Bondic not only swings out and finds the first, but somehow that support, the crossfire that was in place over towards Sandwich, whiffs, and Bondic's able to capitalize with that spray transfer. Really, really nice stuff coming in around number 15. Does allow them to take an 8-7 half. Now, to be fair, we did see this on Overpass, and they completely threw it away. They did take a 5-1 lead early on. Fate pulled it all the way back. They ended up having this 8-7 half in the favor of Fate, and WINSTRIKE kind of just threw it in the bin. We didn't really see a whole lot more from them. The map ended up going 16-9 from Fate. For their sake, hopefully history doesn't repeat itself, because this is map number 3. This is an important one for them. They win it, they go through to the playoffs. Certainly all to play for here as we go into this second half, and I think the pistol round might be the thing to separate these two sides.
I guess. Fate have actually had a really hard time closing out some of these series as of late. 8 on your CT side of Mirage, I guess that's a slight advantage, but puts a lot of pressure on the pistols here in round number 16. I think it's one that they need, otherwise WINSTRIKE. We do know how rock solid their CT sides can sometimes be. Here on Mirage, thus far they're untested here in week 9. But with a fair amount, you can see Fate, supposedly very slim favorites. That's turned ever so slightly before that first half came to a close, and well, this one has been pretty much dead even since the start. Fate taking a tip out of WINSTRIKE's book, straight into the A bomb site. These Glock trains just fully in the action. 2 quick kills found, and Fate need to respond somehow. Maybe it's by taking the CT spawn control. I guess Nicky cannot stick around towards his side of the map, especially as he's losing players on this bomb site. All of his teammates falling away. And another 2 versus 4 scenario, and Blocker's going to do everything. It's not going to happen. That's a 8th round on the board. Even Stevens for WINSTRIKE.
That was really nice stuff there. Nickelback picking himself up a 3K. They're going to be able to convert that one. Level this one out 8-8 as well. Fate, they could well jump back into this one with a force. They, of course, got that bomb down. Very viable to pull out the Galils in the second. They're going to opt against it. Instead, just some Kevlar, a couple of pistols here and there. See what they can do with it. Actually, only 2 players buying up the Kevlar, so they're going to make sure they absolutely have money to buy up into the next. Going for this slow default around the map, see if they can catch off any aggression. I think they're maybe anticipating some SMGs. Real issue is, as a CT side, when your opponents when your opponents lose that pistol round, but they get the bomb down, you don't tend to then just go for some wacky SMG buy. You buy up all the rifles that you can, because you expect to be against the Galils. And Lackey, well, takes a very advantageous angle onto the underpass, and somehow Patrick comes out of the tunnel. His crosshair's already adjusted sky high, and he's able to convert that kill. Blocker takes tons and tons of damage here on ramp. Bondic should be able to find this kill with relative ease, and there we go. Actually takes it, levels things back out into a 4-on-4 with a minute on the clock. The bomb is absolutely nowhere to be seen. It's actually rotating in from the T-spawn, and it's looking like they are going to go for this A-take. If they can take out Bondic, there's certainly an opportunity for them to get onto this site and get this bomb down. The issue is the lack of Kevlar, the lack of utility as well. If they find Bondic and they had a smoke grenade, they can throw it on CT, they can catch Nickelback off guard, but they just don't. They have to rely on these headshots from the pistols, and well, only time will tell whether they come through. Angle here, creeped right up into jungle. He could have the spanner in the works that's needed and perhaps cut off these rotations.
It's a silent round, all things considered, with Fate, and they don't do a lot with the pincer that Patrick had thrown into place. It's going to be an easy night for WINSTRIKE. More importantly, 4 alive will again bolster that economy. You see, it's the 2 heavy hitters at the top of the table, Nickelback and Bondic. 30 kills between the 2 of them. It's a great start here on Mirage. If that continues, I could see WINSTRIKE going through to the playoffs above Fate. And then I guess Fate are heavily challenged in that decider match. That's a best of 3 also against the winner of that elimination match, which will be shown a little bit later today. Well, here comes the solid mid-take. Nickelback, 2 quick kills. They look stuck in the mud right now.
Ooh. They really do. They're just being picked apart. You almost certainly think after that incredible T-half that they had early on where they took it 6-3, you think to yourself, do you know what? Okay, they have a minor blunder towards the end there. They had a little hole over towards that A defense, and WINSTRIKE just kept abusing it. That kind of initiated them to pull back a few rounds at the end there, but Fate come back into this one despite losing the pistol round. You expect them to come strong into their bye, and they just haven't. They just get completely shut down. It actually gives WINSTRIKE an opportunity to just continue to build up this bank, especially if they can keep all 4 of these players alive. He can convert this kill. That'll be a free AK onto Patrick, and yeah, that's going to be the case. Patrick looking completely the wrong way. Lackey's going to find it and pick up that AK as a prize. WINSTRIKE now 2 ahead with their 10th round on the board, and Fate have no money in the bank. This is just going to be a pistol buy from them. A little bit of Kevlar on a couple of these players as well, but that will be it. This is an opportunity for WINSTRIKE to take this one. You just have to make sure they don't let it slip away.
Yeah, this is something that they haven't been challenged for thus far in either of this series, is their ability to close. Of course, they were able to close Vertigo. That was a 16-3. You don't feel the same sort of pressure when you're that far ahead. Series like this, when the score's close, a spot in the playoffs hangs in the balance. This is when you do start feeling the heat. Your body temperature goes up ever so slightly. You start to feel antsy and uncomfortable. And here in Counter-Strike, comfort is a massive factor. You want to be the team dictating the pace. And in that sense, Fate do have a slight advantage being on the T side. But this being an 11-8 scoreline, pretty much after this round comes to its conclusion, bar any catastrophic mistakes from WINSTRIKE, I just highly imagine this is them 5 away from the finish line. The pistols shouldn't have much of an opportunity to get a lot done. Guess the only way for Fate is if they get that mid-pincer into connector, maybe even force that 3rd man over towards the B bomb site, and then the Deagles need to really connect, get that Tech 9 from Blocker up close and personal, but it's not happening. WINSTRIKE hold this attack at an arm's length, and the kills do come through at the end. Nevertheless, it should be nicely contained by the CIS squad.
Nicky now 1 versus 3 is able to find the first, switches to the Deagle, but it's a little bit too late. Krisen's able to take him out and grabs himself an AK as well. So WINSTRIKE, well, they take a few casualties there. That's going to mean some reinvestments. Nonetheless, put round number 19 on the board, and well, they keep 2 players alive.
Well,
losing 3 means that
lead for WINSTRIKE could definitely flip the other way if they're not too careful. 11-8 on the board. And Fate, of course, they have to be very, very aware of this one. Obviously, they're aware of the scoreline, but the money is starting to build up. Prison and Elian holding the lion's share of that cash. Everybody else actually kind of down in the dumps when it comes to money. The only way this gets better for WINSTRIKE is if they take a fairly clean round right here, and there's the starter from Elian.
Absolutely what's needed after taking a few casualties there. The reinvestments have to come through. With this man advantage to work with. Elian's miles away. He's not allowing himself to get traded here. They're just keeping control of this. 1:05 on the clock. Fate haven't really got a whole lot of control to work with. Of course, they've taken mid as they did very, very early on in this round. But after that initial pick was found, it was just gifted to them. They're not going to be contested any longer. Mar finding that kill might give them a little bit of legroom to work with, applying some pressure here over towards mid, and now they head to B. Nickelback needs to find these opening frags. He's actually found the first. That's the bomb dropped. They can now just hold on to this, especially as Krizen comes through with another. Nickelback deals tons of damage onto Nicky. Can't quite convert the kill, but with 30 seconds on the clock, Krizen can surely finish this. No, he can't. Nicky finds it, brings it into a 2-on-2, and he's going to be able to retrieve this bomb and get it down.
Oh, that is a beautiful Molotov onto Bondic as well, just to force him out into the open. I guess he should win the round anyway. There's 7 seconds left, the bomb not down, and Bondic, oh, he should be hiding here. This is a big mistake. Why doesn't he hide? And that's a 9th for Fate. A massive error in judgment from the captain gives away the round. And this is the mentality issue that we were talking about earlier, Jay. WINSTRIKE, how are they going to get away with this one? That was a freebie given to Fate. And with just 2 seconds left on the clock, the onus is also on the teammates just to actually call that one, that he should probably be tucked inside the van. I don't know if he made some sort of just big error. Maybe he thought that the bomb had gone down. I really don't know how you can make that sort of a mistake. But with, 2 seconds left on the board, you should definitely be hiding. And, well, it happens to the best of us.
Absolutely a shame. That could have been 12-8 for WINSTRIKE, and instead we're within 2. We'll have the money to invest back into this one, but if they don't lose it, Fate should be able to level this one back out, and I think you'll be quite upset with that.
Patrick quite on cue with the oops sticker.
Yeah, I quite like that bit of BM. Saw him use that as well on Vertigo after a big clutch.
Oops.
That was when he found that ace. They didn't really get a whole lot more out of that one though, did they? That was a big ace in the first round, got us all excited, and then, I don't know, Fate just went to sleep.
I just think it's the map disparity. They didn't look very comfortable on Vertigo. Coming back onto Mirage, they look a little more cozy. Definitely not as confident as on Overpass, but that is what you would expect in a best of 3, where you get 2 very strong maps for their respective teams, and then a third and final.
Early engagement taking place in mid brings things back into a 4-on-4. Bondic's got a nice angle here onto Mar. I'm not sure if Mar's going to expect this, but Bondic, oh, that was dangerous. Turning his back, walks straight into the angle. Mar's going to rip his head clean off. The man advantage now swaying back in the favor of Fate. That's actually going to pull the rotations as well. They're completely giving up this B site. This is the wrong gamble. Fate have got 3 players stacked up in the apartments ready to just walk onto this site. They've even got the rotation coming through as well. The only saving grace for WINSTRIKE is the fact that Fate are playing this really slow, so maybe there's an opportunity for Lackey here if he finds this kill to make something work. Commits the dink and actually gets the kill. So a 3 versus 3. They are now going to know that Fate are on this B site, but it is going to be the retake.
These digits, and they actually line up for Lackey. That's another massive mistake. This gives WINSTRIKE a massive opportunity to get back into this B-bomb site, and Lackey might have just got the job done with a triple kill. There's Elian to convert. And that 12th round that WINSTRIKE let slip earlier, they slap it right back on the board there. 12-9, and Fate, I think they have to do some soul searching and some hard thinking before they get into round number 22 here.
Absolutely. Back-to-back mistakes. One apiece for each of these teams. And, well, again, we see a timeout from Fate. You talked about it earlier. They are no stranger to calling multiple timeouts in a map. Utilize them very, very well. And in round number 22, there's not a huge amount of money in the bank, but that plant and some kept money saved means that they could pull something out here. Maybe a glass cannon available on Han. He wanted to go for it. Not something you see all too often on this T side. You could actually get rifles out on everyone else. The issue is you'd have this severe lack of utility. So I wouldn't be surprised if, yeah, we see Han down to this AK. He'll be able to buy up some util. Patrick does drop down to that Mac 10 just so that he can have a full belt of it too. This is going to be a buy up for Fate. Effectively a full investment on everyone except Nikki.
Another reset opportunity for Team Fate. And a seemingly standard push into the B bomb site. That nade's not going to do any damage. It's a little too early on the toss. And Fate don't need to go aggressive into B this early on. They can fish for information, try and pick away that opening frag, and with the Mac 10s as well, they might just send the SMGs in first. Fast running gun potential. Imagine if Patrick's able to find Crizzen here. They're just relying, waiting for WINSTRIKE to make a mistake. They've made a couple this series, but maybe none is crucial, is pushing apps right now. See that they are holding ground. It's allowed the whole B split to come through. I don't know if they're going to check this Crizzen angle. Finally exposes himself early. This is a brutal crossfire. 3 quick kills. Fate are getting crushed on their entrance to this B bomb site. And Han, without his prized AWP, is going to go down. 13-9. And Fate, I thought they were stuck on 8, but no, it's one more, but not double digits as of this point. Meaning they are stuck down in the dumps, in the doldrums. And how do they respond here into round number 23? I guess it's a full buy. Maybe you see the SMGs come out once again. This is just a really touch and go scenario, and they might get their playoff spot stolen by one of the underdog teams in this group. I remember a couple of hours ago, Jay, we said anything can happen in this Group B. All of these teams are quite tightly contested. Of course, I guess Ago would be the slight favorites along with Fate. And then you've got WINSTRIKE and AGF just a slither behind. But yeah, once again, this has come down to the wire. Patrick instantly drops.
Well, I absolutely meant what I said, but was I expecting WINSTRIKE to go through flawlessly? Absolutely not. And that's looking like that might be the case. The bomb should be able to go down on this B site. Nikki's actually just been able to walk straight in. Crizzen's going to hear it, though. Should be able to take this one out as he crosses over towards short. The timing actually doesn't work out for him. Does he get it? No, Nikki comes out on top. Still 3 more to find, though. Very little opportunity here, and it's Lackey to put him to bed. WINSTRIKE put themselves onto 14. That plant's actually going to give them a little bit of money to work with, so they will have a buy along with this max loss bonus that they have acquired. They will actually have a buy coming into round number 24 here, but they need to convert it. They need to start putting some rounds on the board. Otherwise, this one will almost certainly slip away.
It's already slipping. They've only got, I guess, a couple of fingers on the grasp at this point. They're slipping down the mountain. WINSTRIKE, they're digging their heels in on this defensive half. And wouldn't this be fitting if it was a 16-9? WINSTRIKE have just been so good on these CT sides today. They started us off with a really powerful defense against Ago on Vertigo, and then continued the pace here onto Vertigo against against Fate, of course. And now also Mirage. This was, remember, a very slippery start. When we go back and dig into the scoreline of that first half, you really do see that Fate, they took, what was it, they were ahead by 6-3. They actually won the first half. They've only taken 1 round on this T side of Mirage, and that is real problematic when you're trying to expand that map pool. I don't know what the issue is for Fate here. I don't know if they've been playing too much Counter-Strike recently. Obviously, their season has been absolutely on, go, go, go. They've been playing everything. Maybe it's time to just take a break for a week or two. Like they have been struggling in these big playoff matches and these big playoff deciding matches. And I don't know what the issue is, because they're better than this. I absolutely know that. They've got an opportunity onto the A-bomb site one more time, but they're losing out on the offset.
It's a perfect flash as well, allows Nickelback to deal tons of damage, and now it'll be Bondic to pick up the pieces. The bomb's going to be dropped. There's 25 seconds left on this clock, and it's 3-on-3. Bondic's position is known, and Han's able to capitalize on it, but this AWP's got a sightline on the C4. The nade will do tons of damage, but as he connects the shot, it just thins out the numbers further, and the time pressure really becomes problematic for Fate here. They have to swing and find it, and Han is able to do so. 4 kills for him in this round, and he takes an AWP as well going across. So the lifeline that Fate needed prevents WINSTRIKE from getting to match point, and oh, here comes the pause. This is actually looking like a tech pause. Hopefully this one gets resolved fairly sharpish.
Key point in this series, of course, you want everything to be perfect for both squads. Yes, the money is far from perfect for either team here. WINSTRIKE actually had quite a nice bank built up, but that's dissipated after a couple of close contentious rounds from Fate, and then an outright win with Han doing everything. He was on 9 kills before that 24th. Now up to 13. It's nothing spectacular by his standards, but certainly an opportunity to put his team back on the board. Double-digit comebacks are always possible, especially on a map like Mirage, where I guess the attack is open on both sides. It's not like a train, a nuke, where I guess if you're 10 to 14 down, you're already like writing your own will, signing your own death warrant. On Mirage, it's a very different set of rules, where 6 in a row for a T side, it's a very possible.
Especially if these key players show up. It's actually Mar and Nikki leading the charge here on Mirage. Locker not putting up the performance we'd normally see from him. Han, I actually felt that Han was missing a hell of a lot of key shots on that CT side with that AWP, especially towards the end. We saw him playing over towards CT, and he'd missed that initial aim duel, and then he'd just get completely overwhelmed. That's really what happens when you're an AWPer. If you can't find that first player, the supports will just overwhelm you with those grenades. Actually, he's not really putting up huge numbers either. He got himself a nice 4K in the last. That puts him onto 13, which then kind of in contention with a few other players on the server. But before that, he was down to a mere 9 kills. And actually, on this T-half as well, he's had very little opportunity to get this AWP out. He had it in the last, but before that, we saw so many rounds where, because they had this max loss bonus, they just continued to force them by, force them by, force them by. And every single time they do that, he'd be down to an AK. He couldn't justify pulling out that AWP when he's only got sort of $4,800 in the bank. Therefore, it's caused him a fair amount of problems. On a way, WINSTRIKE sit from putting themselves onto match point. Beta actually a fair bit behind.
Pretty much have to win everything from here on out. As we get back into the action, an opportunity to do so against a non-ideal buy of WINSTRIKE. Yes, the MP9 and the FAMAS comes through. Crizzen, I think he's got the Deagle too. Everybody else with rifles. I guess that M4 and AWP being the two key takeaways. And I suppose that there could have been a rifle on the floor, but just the money's not there for WINSTRIKE. Instead, we see this standard setup. Han heading for that kill over by the A-bomb site. Not going to find anything beside ramp thus far. And WINSTRIKE have been playing a very passive defense in this CT force. They've not been going aggressive towards the ramp area. We've only seen aggression towards underpass / apartments the once. only one time in the whole half. Whereas, I guess, Fate on Vertigo, they were pretty much aggressing in the majority of rounds.
A real shoddy buy for both sides. That actually shows how close this is. You see an orb on Han, you see an orb on Elian, and then everybody else, you see like a couple of scattered rifles, a couple of scattered pistols, and an SMG. It's actually very, very even, and well, with 55 seconds on the clock here, hey, let's try and push right into this B site. This could be the end right now, especially as Krizen's going huge with this 5-7. He's even picked himself up an AWP. The nade's going to come in. He tries to land the shot before he falls. That was millimeters away from connecting. But as the nade finishes him off, an opportunity for this bomb to go down. WINSTRIKE, of course, have got the man advantage, though, and they're very fast in on this retake. The bomb's not even gone down yet. This is looking dire for Fate.
Fate won the gamble. They walked into a stack of just an MP9 and a 5-7, and they still come away without the goods. Now these two AK-47s need to push them to 11, but there's the tag onto Ma. The damage already being done. Elian shoots a pair of shots through, and there's the conversion. Both kills in with the AWP. 15-10 here. WINSTRIKE, they've got 5 chances to finish.
They absolutely do. With that bomb plant and the loss bonus, Fate have got the opportunity to invest back into this one. The issue is they're 1 round away from letting this series slip. And look at this again from Krizen. You think that the MP9 of Lackey might be able to do tons of damage there, but you don't expect the 5-7 to swing out and get it done. Incredible stuff to put WINSTRIKE onto 15, and we talked about it earlier. I did question their ability of closing this one out. They put themselves 14 up, and you think, oh, okay, are they going to be able to just finish this one off, or do we actually see Fate pull off what we see them do quite often, which is bring it back? And right now, that's not the case. Lackey with a fantastic dink, Nickelback to finish him off, and tons of damage dealt so far. This could be the end here, Squid.
Certainly could be. A rocky road for Fate as their headshots are starting to come through once again. 3 quick kills for WINSTRIKE. This map looks very over towards the A-bomb site. It's Han versus 5. He's good, but not good enough. 16-10 as they get it done again. Back-to-back maps for WINSTRIKE. Vertigo was a very one-sided affair. Mirage, a little